Chapter 209. The sound of the zither. The sound of the zither was faint. It was obviously a soft sound, but in everyone's heart, it stirred up a monstrous thunder. Everyone followed the sound of the zither and fell into a wonderful state. Chu Yang's heart was as calm as water, but it was as if he was standing at the side of a bystander, quietly watching his own life. His heart and soul were broken, his liver and guts were cut to pieces. When he was young, beyond the heavens sect burned fiercely. Meng Chao ran, dressed in white and wielding a sword, came and went amidst the raging fire. His face was calm in despair, but he pressed himself down and buried himself under the corpses, preserving a bit of life for himself. Walking out of beyond the heavens sect, he had no one to rely on. First, he had no experience, so he easily trusted others and almost lost his life. Fleeing in a sorry state, the journey was filled with dust. Time after time, he was schemed against by others, time after time he was chased by others, time after time he escaped from death. This caused his heart to gradually become cold, hard, and emotionless, cultivating in seclusion in the mountains. Coming to Iron Cloud, the flames of war filled the sky, moving unhindered in Jianghu, killing people for their goods, starting the road of the poisonous sword revered martial artist. That road was filled with a reign of terror. Leaving behind a trail of corpses and the bleakness of his apathetic departure. He was not heartless. When he killed the first person, he vomited for 3 days. But, if I don't kill people, they will kill me. In the vast world, he had no relatives. Only he could carve out this road of blood, a road of life. Until that day, he found a purple bamboo forest, evoking memories of his childhood. He lingered there, forgetting to go home, but then he met a woman in red. What kind of woman was she? Graceful, a heavenly fragrance, weak and delicate, but strong and proud, with a light sadness covering her body, yet elegant and noble. Every movement of her hand, every movement, they were all top-notch. She was like a fairy, quietly standing in front of him. He still remembered that conversation. 1. May I ask your name? My surname is Mo Ching Wu. Good name. Is it? Mo Ching Wu's beautiful eyes were bleak, muttering, my mother once said, what? A daughter's heart. Mo Ching Wu, a daughter's heart. Mo Ching Wu. At that time, Chu Yang thoughtfully said, your mother is really a person. Ching Wu, with the surname Mo in front, the meaning was completely different. A girl's heart should not dance so easily. If you dance lightly, you will surely be despised by others. This was a name, and also a warning from Mo Ching Wu's mother to her daughter. It also contained a mother's vision for her daughter's beautiful future. What a coincidence, you came to the purple bamboo forest again. I like purple bamboo. Mo Ching Wu smiled gently, concealing the naivety in her eyes. Purple bamboo, my favorite and warmest color when I was young was purple. It's really unforgettable. Really? Haha, me too. I still remember when I was young, I grew up in a purple bamboo forest. Later on, the people were gone, and the purple bamboo was gone too. Their voices were faint, but both of them could hear the nostalgia and melancholy in each other's voices. Both of them were able to sense the intense unwillingness and hatred in each other's hearts. Both of them knew that each other was filled with worries. But at that time, Chu Yang didn't know. Now, he knew. Mo Ching Wu liked the purple bamboo because of her second brother's purple jade flute when she was young. Brother Chu, you're here again. Back then, it was like a dream. The purple bamboo is where my heart is. If I don't come to see it, I will always feel that my heart is missing something. Yes, me too, Brother Chu. If you come again next time, can you still meet me so coincidentally? Why? Ha. Nothing. Mo Ching Wu smiled. Chu Yang closed his eyes. Separated by 2 reincarnations, he seemed to have seen Mo Ching Wu's smile back then. The purple bamboo swayed like the waves of the sea. Mo Ching Wu's red dress fluttered in the wind. In the purple bamboo forest, her beauty was unparalleled. That smile, there was no sorrow, but there was shyness and sweetness. Ching Wu, you should know that my heart has fallen for that smile of yours, right? Unfortunately, I didn't know. Ching Wu, you're here? What a coincidence. Yes, today is Chongyang. Ching Wu, would you like to have a drink with me? Yes, sure. Brother Chu. Chu Yang. Yes, Brother Chu, do you think my dance is good? I haven't seen it yet. Haha, after today's drink, the purple bamboo will bear witness. Little sister will dance for you. At that time, Mo Ching-woo's eyes were filled with sweetness, joy, and sorrow. The way she looked at him was filled with tenderness. Her red sleeves fluttered gently. Chu Yang only felt that at that moment, the heaven and earth warehouse was filled with a beautiful red color. And a graceful figure, like an immortal, stepped on the moon. Blue smoke gently dances in the desert, purple bamboo in the vast sea and horizon. A lifetime of one dance, one person to appreciate, a lifetime of one dance, a lifetime of one dance. Mo Ching-woo's beautiful voice seemed to be playing again. The sound of the zither in the hall slowly rose, as if it was twisting and turning, suddenly rising up, following which, a resounding sound of a zither suddenly rang out. Everyone's hearts thumped heavily, and Chu Yang's heart also suddenly shook at this moment. It seemed that fate had reversed at this moment. Chu Yang. Don't go, I want to avenge my master, avenge my brothers, I have to go. Chu Yang, Chu Yang. You're so cruel, Chu Yang. Will you come back? I don't know either, Chu Yang, I finally found you, you. Are you still the same? Come back with me. Come back with me, okay? Chu Yang. I'm afraid. I've been feeling very uneasy these days. Chu Yang. Your heart, is it really as hard as stone? I've long lost my heart. At that time, Chu Yang thought of the ruins of Beyond the Heavens sect, the ground full of corpses, the thick hatred, cutting off emotions, destroying emotions, cultivating the way of the sword, and taking revenge. But he didn't notice, or rather, he didn't dare to look at Mo Ching-woo's heartbroken eyes. Mo Ching-woo left heartbroken. After a long while, Chu Yang suddenly became irritated, as if something bad was happening. Thinking of Mo Ching-woo who had just left, Chu Yang became even more restless. Somehow, Mo Ching-woo seemed to be calling out to him softly, Chu Yang. Save me, Chu Yang. You're so cruel, Chu Yang. I want to see you again. Chu Yang, I miss you. Chu Yang's figure shot out like lightning, and his black figure quickly chased after her. At that time, he didn't know why he was chasing, and he didn't know what he was chasing. But, after chasing for dozens of miles, he found Mo Ching-woo besieged by people, and she was seriously injured and dying. At that time, Chu Yang only felt that his heart was about to explode. He screamed and rushed forward, almost losing his mind as he chopped those people into pieces. Mo Ching-woo's last moment in his arms, but her face was full of despair and happiness. Chu Yang. You haven't hugged me like this for a long time. I'm so happy. Don't move. Let me see you, look at you. I'm not in pain, really not in pain. Chu Yang, if there's a next life, if I can meet you again, I hope you can take a good look at me. I'm prettier than a sword. Chu Yang, hold me tight. Hold me tight. I want to be held by you forever. Chu Yang, to be able to die in your arms, I'm very satisfied. I have no regrets. At the last moment, after all, I saw you. If there's a next life, her eyes were full of longing, but they froze at that moment. Her eyes were still full of love as she looked at Chu Yang's face, but they had already lost their liveliness. But that deep love in her eyes had become eternal. Chu Yang let out a heavy breath, as if he had also spat out his own heart, but he realized that the zither music had already ended. At this moment, in the hall, no matter who it was, they were all either deep in thought, sighing, or looking lost. Not a single sound was heard. Ji Duxing sat beside Chu Yang, his eyes moist. He also thought of that person who had sacrificed so much for him. Ji Miao Ling. Everyone had their own encounters. This song made Chu Yang experience the sadness of his previous life again, but what others experienced was also the grievance, anger, sorrow, and infatuation of their own lives. This reincarnation song was like a baptism and purification of life. What a beautiful song. Chu Yang sighed softly in his heart. The zither master's reputation is well deserved. However, this reincarnation song was still broken. It was broken. Chu Yang's evaluation. Chu Yang did not know much about music. In his previous life, Mo Ching-woo liked to dance. Since ancient times, there was no distinction between dance and music. Chu Yang naturally came into contact with some music knowledge. This reincarnation song, although Chu Yang was not a music master, but he was the only one who understood this song, because only he had truly tasted the taste of reincarnation. The The so-called reincarnation was at least 2 lives. Only then could it barely be called reincarnation. But this song, Chu Yang only recalled his previous life. He did not recall this period of time in this life. But according to his state of mind at that time, it was clearly possible. But the zither music was broken here. So Chu Yang said that it was broken. The hall was completely silent. Only the gigantic furnace in the middle of the hall was flickering, emitting an endless amount of heat. After a long time, there was a burst of thunderous applause. The zither music sounded twice, as if it was thanking him. Mr. Chu, you can ask me 3 questions about music. If I can't answer them, I'll have a long talk with Mr. Chu and we'll have dinner together. The indifferent voice came from the zither master. Chu Yang chuckled and calmed his heart. He said, before the zither master, who dares to talk about music? However, regarding this song, I do have a few questions to ask Miss Xiao Lu. Oh. Miss Xiao Lu's voice clearly showed a bit of interest. This reincarnation song directly entered everyone's heart, regardless of wealth or poverty, good or bad. It can be seen that Miss Xiao Lu's experience in the world of mortals is very successful. But what? Miss Xiao Lu asked. But this song seems to be only half a song. Miss Xiao Lu, why is that? Chu Yang asked indifferently. Chapter 210. When Chu Yang said this, Miss Xiao Lu seemed to be shocked. She did not say anything for a long time. The people below immediately burst into an uproar. Where did this bumpkin come from? He dares to say that such a beautiful zither sound is broken? Incomplete. A young man in white sneered, do you understand? That's right. No matter if it's in terms of artistic conception or the length of the song, this is a complete song. Lian Fan Lei's lips curled up as he looked at this bumpkin who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. He said meaningfully, this brother Chu, I'm afraid you have never heard such a beautiful song before. Do you really think that the music of the shepherd boy in the mountains and the funeral in the countryside is the best song of all time? Ha ha ha. The group of people suddenly burst into laughter. This guy is just a frog at the bottom of a well. He has only seen the sky. The group of playboys laughed without restraint. Zheng. The sound of the zither suddenly rang out, and the noise in the hall suddenly stopped. The sound of the zither was intense and decisive. Even those who did not understand music could tell that Miss Xiao Lu was angry. This bumpkin had spoken rudely and had indeed angered the beauty. Everyone began to take pleasure in his misfortune. This song. Under everyone's anticipation, Miss Xiao Lu slowly opened her mouth, is indeed incomplete. This is because when I was composing this song, I had a dream. It was ethereal and illusory, as if someone had told me that this was my heart. After I woke up, I immediately put on my clothes and composed this song. However, the dream was a sudden awakening. When I was about to write the last part of the song, I suddenly felt that I could not continue. Therefore, this song is only half a song. For a long time, I have been brooding over this. But I wonder how Duke Chu was able to tell. This song is indeed incomplete. It is only half a song. These few words caused the group of playboys to feel as if they had been struck by lightning. They felt dizzy and were tongue-tied. They did not expect that Miss Xiao Lu would actually admit to this bumpkin's word. They had just been mocking him, but Miss Xiao Lu's words were like a slap to their faces. The slaps were very loud and clear. This was especially true for Lian Fan Lei. This guy could be considered a knowledgeable person and was somewhat proficient in music. At this moment, he felt a burning sensation on his face. He felt so ashamed that he couldn't show his face. How did you figure it out? Haha, I just figured it out. Chu Yang smiled faintly. Miss Xiao Lu pondered for a moment before saying, if that's the case, the first question is passed. Brother, please ask the second question. The second problem is still the inadequacy of this song, Chu Yang said in a clear voice. This question caused another round of commotion. Everyone listened to this song. It was perfect. This fellow actually pointed out the problems one after another. This fellow is simply crazy. However, after the previous face-slapping, everyone was very tactful and did not raise any questions at this time. They just waited for him to continue. Oh. Please enlighten us. Miss Xiaolu's voice was very modest, but this was not an act. She was sincerely asking for advice, and everyone could hear this. Yes, music has always been about being joyful without being obscene, mournful without being hurt. That's the best. In a person's life, no matter how difficult it is, there will always be joys and sorrows, sweet and bitter. Chu Yang said faintly, even the most despicable person, even if he can't live anymore, he will still experience joy and happiness in his life, even if it is only for a moment. Even the most noble person, even the most powerful person, he will still experience hardship in his life. No one can be an exception to this. Behind the curtain, Miss Xiaolu nodded slightly and pondered. Mrs. Song is very moving and captivating. However, it is filled with sorrow. Mournful without being hurt, this point is achieved. However, since it is reincarnation, there will always be joy and sorrow. However, this was the only thing that was lacking in Mrs. Music. However, without this point, there is no meaning in reincarnation. Chu Yang said softly, therefore, I think that this song should be changed. What does Miss Xiaolu think? Yes. This time, Miss Xiaolu did not wait. Instead, she directly spoke and praised. Duke Chu's understanding of music really makes Xiaolu gasp in amazement. I hope that Duke Chu can leave behind some valuable suggestions and discuss with Xiaolu how to improve it. What do you think? When these words were said, Lian Fan Lei's eyes immediately shot out a jealous light. Leave behind some suggestions, discuss methods. How can such a method be discussed in a day or two? If the discussion continues, these two people discuss in bed, then wouldn't I be wearing a green hat? Yes, this guy hasn't even chased her yet, and he is already thinking about the green hat. Yes, this discussion can be discussed later. Right now, I will raise a third question. Chu Yang said faintly. Please speak, Duke Chu. Miss Xiaolu's voice had already become respectful. This young duke had raised two questions that were already worthy of her attention. It was definitely not simple. As the saying goes, the zither music comes from the hands, and the hands come from the heart, and the heart comes from the soul. Miss Xiaolu's zither music is wholeheartedly devoted to it. Her skills are even more outstanding, and the zither on the table is the best zither in history. This combination is already at the peak of perfection. There is no more perfect combination in the world. The only thing missing is the sound of the soul. Miss Xiaolu sighed faintly. Yes, Chu Yang said. After a long silence, a voice came from behind the curtain. It seemed that Miss Xiaolu's mind was wandering, and her fingers were unconsciously plucking the zither strings. Serve tea in the palace. Xiaolu wants to ask Duke Chu for advice alone. Miss Xiaolu thought for a long time before softly instructing. Yes. A pretty maidservant beside her replied. Chu Yang stood up and said faintly, you guys wait for me here. However, I don't think you will be lonely. As he spoke, his eyes looked meaningfully at the group of men who were filled with righteous indignation, and he chuckled softly. This was a disdainful smile. In Ironcloud Citadel, even Tai Bu Tian could only sulk in front of this king of Hell Chu, let alone these small fries. Chu Yang did not care at all. If they did not have some value, Chu Yang would not even look at them. As for Lian Fan Lei, Lian Fan Lei was just a fart. No, in Chu Yang's eyes, he was not even a fart. A fart could still stink for a while, but he was just a dead body that could stink for a while. Don't worry, I will control myself. Jiu Du Xing smiled coldly and said, I will not delay your plan. He knew that if Chu Yang gave him such a special order, there must be a reason. He also realized that no matter what Chu Yang did, it was always a chain of events, one linked to another, and it would continue to extend. Ever since he met Chu Yang did not do anything casually. Everything had a deep meaning behind it. Jiu Du Xing naturally would not recklessly ruin Chu Yang's plans. Therefore, even with Luo Ku Di and Ji Mo, these two hotheads, here, Chu Yang was not worried about leaving Jiu Du Xing behind. That's good. Chu Yang took a step forward and followed behind the white-clothed maid, walking in neither fast nor slow. Behind them, Luo Ku Di was so excited that he almost screamed, Ayaya, I finally finished playing the piano. There are so many beauties here. Let's all do a striptease and sing 18 touches. Chu Yang staggered, and almost fell down head first. Immediately after, he heard 3 curses: pig, you stupid pig. They came from Jiu Du Xing, Ji Mo, and Gbu Tong's mouths. Immediately after, there was a series of bangs and Luo Ku Di's screams. Ji Mo's voice was very flattering. Okay, beautiful sisters, don't be angry. I have already helped you teach him a lesson. Haha, this pervert is simply unbearable. Don't worry, if he makes another sound, I'll hit him. Pretty girl, no matter what, I'm still your flower protector. How about it, everyone give me a kiss? Imagining Ji Mo's pouting face, Chu Yang quickened his steps and turned a corner. Only when he could no longer hear them did he wipe his sweat. Boss Chu regretted bringing these 2 guys out. Of course, he did not have to worry about their safety, but it was really embarrassing. Grand Duke Chu, please. Arriving in front of an elegant room, the maid bowed. Miss Xiaolu is waiting inside. Chu Yang nodded and quietly looked around. He saw that this abode was located on the top floor of the 3rd floor. There were a few embroidered buildings on all 4 sides. They were like stars surrounding the moon, perfectly protecting every corner of this abode. This was the most brilliant defensive formation. It is indeed extraordinary. Chu Yang gently knocked on the door. Grand Duke Chu, please come in. A calm voice came from inside. Thank you. Chu Yang pushed the door open and stepped in with 1 foot. He paused and stepped in with the other foot. His whole person appeared in the room and stopped in front of the door, quietly standing there for a moment. As he stepped in, Chu Yang clearly felt a fierce and unbridled aura locking onto him. This aura was unscrupulous and lawless. It was as if as long as someone offended him, even if it was an emperor with millions of soldiers protecting him, he would still kill him in 1 strike. And he would not care about any consequences. This kind of aura reminded Chu Yang of Jiu Du Xing in his previous life. The only time he saw Jiu Du Xing in his previous life, this lonely guest had such a fierce and unbridled murderous aura. At that time, Jiu Du Xing was a king-level master, peak level, king's sword, solitary traveler in the secular world. Not long after that meeting, the news of Jiu Du Xing successfully breaking through to emperor level spread. Who is this person? How can he have such a strong aura? Chapter 211. After a while, that aura finally dissipated. Chu Yang's expression did not change. He smiled at Miss Xiaolu, who was sitting behind the zither table, and said, "Can I come in?" "I'm sorry. Grand Duke Chu, this is my guard. He is a bit sensitive." "Haha, please come in and sit." Miss Xiaolu stood up with an apologetic face. Miss Xiaolu's figure was beautiful, but her face was only of the highest quality. She was definitely not a peerless beauty, but there was a strange aura of comfort around her that made people's hearts calm down upon seeing her. Her every move, even her words, or the slight movement of her eyebrows, was filled with gentleness and gentleness. Everyone, as long as they saw her, would definitely have the same first impression. Gentleness. It was gentleness. Miss Xiaolu is truly an extraordinary woman. You are worthy of being called the Zither Master. Chu Yang's gaze was calm and full of admiration. However, his expression was serious without any frivolity. There was only praise from the bottom of his heart, but it did not give people the feeling of flattery. This trip was to negotiate. If one was too arrogant, it would not work. If one tried to flatter, it would be even worse. Neither servile nor overbearing, it was just right. This was the way of a king. Minister Chu is indeed Minister Chu. Miss Xiaolu chuckled meaningfully. Miss is truly an expert. Chu Yang was not surprised. With the strength of the House of Exceptional Beauties, it would be strange if they did not know his true identity. Just like when he faced Diwu Qingru, Chu Yang could only confuse ordinary people, but he knew in his heart that he could not confuse Diwu Qingru. His advantage was distance. The distance was too far. Diwu Qingru would not personally come to deal with him. If Diwu Qingru's position was like that of the House of Exceptional Beauties, Chu Yang believed that even if he was reborn 10,000 times, he would still end up as a corpse. There must be something important for Minister Chu to come here. Miss Xiao Lu quietly poured tea and said softly, however, no matter what it is, let's talk about music first. She smiled sweetly and said, the 3 questions raised by the minister have raised my daughter's heart. If the minister can't appease her, I'm afraid that no matter what we discuss, we won't be able to reach a conclusion. Chu Yang laughed out loud and said, I already knew this. But, I really didn't expect such a gentle girl to be so strong. Miss Xiao Lu pursed her lips and smiled, no matter how strong he is, he can't compare to King of Hell Chu's fierce reputation. Ha ha. Chu Yang laughed. May I ask the minister how to solve the first problem? Miss Xiao Lu was somewhat impatient with this problem. It is the problem of the first half of the song. How can the second half be composed? This question was easy to answer, but also difficult to answer. Personally, I would rather Miss Xiao Lu never compose the second half of the song. That would be a good thing. Chu Yang frowned and cautiously said, Oh, why is that? Miss Xiao Lu frowned and asked in confusion. What is reincarnation? From life to death, and then from death to life, that's a reincarnation. Chu Yang said cautiously, reincarnation is life and death. Miss, I haven't died once. Miss Xiao Lu pondered, since I haven't died, I can't compose a complete reincarnation, because I don't know what it feels like. Therefore, I can't compose it. But, if I die once, haha, how can I compose it when I'm dead? So, the song of reincarnation will never appear. Miss Xiao Lu's eyes were filled with deep unwillingness. Life and death are not things that only death can understand. Chu Yang said quietly. Just as he finished speaking, that sharp aura suddenly appeared again. In an instant, Chu Yang felt his mouth and nose freeze. He couldn't speak, and he couldn't breathe. The person in the dark clearly didn't want him to speak. Miss Xiao Lu's eyes flashed as if she understood something. If that's the case, then reincarnation. It's fine if it doesn't exist. Minister Chu, let's continue with the next problem. That aura suddenly disappeared. Chu Yang smiled bitterly in his heart. This Miss Xiao Lu was an extremely intelligent person. Even though he didn't finish speaking, she already knew what he meant. Even though that person tried to stop him, he was still one step too late. Miss Xiao Lu said that she gave up, but her eyes told Chu Yang that she would never give up. That was a kind of extreme passion for music. The second problem is about the joy, anger, sorrow, and joy of the song. Miss Xiao Lu frowned and said, I've thought about it, and I feel that Minister Chu's words are somewhat unreasonable. Oh. Music is a simple expression of emotion. Since it's a sad song, mixing in joy and sorrow is like mixing a spoonful of vinegar into a jar of good wine. It loses the integrity of the music. Similarly, a joyful song is the same. Miss Xiao Lu frowned. Wrong. Miss Xiao Lu's words are very wrong, Chu Yang said seriously. Oh. How is it very wrong? Miss Xiao Lu frowned. Music is a simple expression of emotion, so it's inferior. Chu Yang smiled and brought out Mo Qingwu's theory from his previous life. Mo Qingwu had never danced or sung lightly. However, her music was not inferior to anyone in this world. On the contrary, because Mo Qingwu's life was full of twists and turns and was too sad, Mo Qingwu's understanding of life was particularly deep. Therefore, her understanding of music was also very human-like. And this theory was something that Mo Qingwu had pondered for a long time in his previous life before suddenly coming to a realization. Even though Miss Xiao Lu was a zither master, she was still young. How could she have experienced Mo Qingwu's hardships? A piece of music should not be used to express emotions, but to use a different method to tell a story. As you play, let the audience feel the joy, anger, sorrow, and joy of the story. Chu Yang said quietly, you don't have to open your mouth to say anything, nor do you have to make any introduction to this story. But you can let anyone who hears this song understand in which part of the song, the meeting, the parting, the sadness, the anger, and the death, and let the people who hear it be able to tell the entire story based on their own understanding. Miss Xiao Lu sat upright and still. Her expression was serious as she silently pondered over Chu Yang's words and every word. This kind of attitude, this kind of respect, only appeared in front of her teacher, the real zither master. But at this moment, Miss Xiaolu felt that the person in front of her was Minister Chu, who was younger than her. He was worthy of such treatment. What he said seemed inconceivable at first, but after thinking about it carefully, she felt that it was infinitely profound. But if she wanted to reach the level he talked about, how much effort would she have to put in? But everyone has their own heart, and people's hearts are different. How can I make them say the story that I want to express? Of course it's different. Different people have different experiences and different states of mind. If a story is written by one person, it may be inspirational. But if another person writes it, it may be about growth. If another person writes it, it may be about relaxation and humor. Then if another person writes it, it may be about the rise and fall of a dynasty. Chu Yang said softly, or if someone writes it, it may be tasteless. Or if someone writes it, it may make people think about it. Or if someone writes it, it may be magnificent. Or if someone writes it, it may be sentimental. But you have to remember that the world's matters are always the same. Chu Yang said casually, if a story is written by 10,000 people, it will still be the same story, and there will not be any changes. I think. I understand a little. Miss Xiaolu pondered and nodded slightly. When music reaches the peak, it can control a person's happiness, anger, sorrow, and joy. When you want someone to cry, they will cry. When you want someone to smile, they will involuntarily reveal a knowing smile. All changes are in your heart. And you, although you are called the Zither Master, you should be. Chu Yang took a deep breath and said, there is still an unreachable distance. Yes. Miss Xiaolu respectfully poured tea for Chu Yang. I understand. Big brother, please enlighten me. Yes, from Minister Chu to Big Brother Chu, this was a huge change. It was also a fundamental change in attitude. This meant that this Zither Master was already somewhat convinced. You are welcome. I also hope that I can leave my mark on the path of a talented Zither player to the peak. Chu Yang said calmly, you must know that this is also my supreme glory. Miss Xiaolu pursed her lips and smiled. Big Brother Chu really knows how to talk. You obviously know that you are flattering me, but you still make me feel proud. Chu Yang laughed and said thoughtfully, don't tell me, you still need to be flattered. Everyone looked at each other and smiled knowingly. Big Brother Chu Fu, which aspect of music are you good at? Miss Xiaolu smiled and said, do I have the good fortune to listen to Big Brother Chu play a song? Chu Yang suddenly became embarrassed. He rubbed his nose and smiled bitterly. Ah Lu, you are poking at my sore spot. You are making your big brother ashamed. I am just an armchair strategist. I can move my mouth, but if you let me play, cough cough, you will feel sorry for your zither. Ha ha. Miss Xiaolu smiled sweetly. Moreover, he had used a helpless tone to say Ah Lu. This was a nickname that only people who were very close to each other could use. So, he had unknowingly closed the distance between the two of them. Moreover, he had said Ah Lu in a helpless tone. Moreover, it did not make Miss Xiaolu feel disgusted. On the contrary, she felt that his helpless and awkward expression was cute and intimate. If that is the case, then I will not make things difficult for Big Brother Chu Yang. Miss Xiaolu playfully rolled her eyes and smiled. Chapter 212. At this moment, Miss Xiaolu suddenly felt a sense of familiarity from the bottom of her heart. It was as if the man in front of her was really her own brother. No matter what she did, he would only spoil her and spoil her. This feeling had nothing to do with the feelings between men and women, but it was more of a blood connection than the feelings between men and women. For a moment, her eyes couldn't help but become much warmer. Brother Chu Yang, then, what about the third question? When Miss Xiaolu said this, even she didn't realize that there was a hint of coquettishness in her voice. The third question requires good tea, good wine, and here. Chu Yang leaned back and crossed his legs. He shook his legs and said, this question is very difficult to solve. He actually acted as if he was in his own home and spoke in a bureaucratic tone. If Minister Chu was like this from the beginning, Miss Xiaolu would have definitely driven him out. But now that he was joking, Miss Xiaolu bit her lips and glared at him. Then, she couldn't help but laugh and said angrily, stupid. He. I've heard that this place has good wine, good dishes, and good tea, And, waha. Chu Yang snorted. He cast a sidelong glance at her, and said in a strange tone, I say, little girl, you want to rely on your glib tongue to take out all the cards of this elder brother's hand? Isn't this too much? Okay. Miss Xiaolu used a helpless tone and said with a smile, Uncle Chu, then I will properly serve you. Don't. Please don't. Chu Yang waved his hand in horror. I still haven't found a wife. Stupid. You wish. Miss Xiaolu angrily stomped her feet. She turned her head and walked away angrily. After taking 2 steps, she turned back and said, Wait here, I will brew some tea for you. While I am at it, I will also prepare some food and wine for this young master, okay? That's more like it. Chu Yang said arrogantly with his nose pointed to the sky. The two of them laughed at the same time, and the atmosphere instantly became harmonious. Miss Xiaolu laughed until her waist bent. She felt that she had not been this happy in a long time. She pouted her lips and pretended to be angry as she muttered, You are younger than me, yet you have the cheek to call yourself older brother. You are truly shameless. He walked out. Soon, fragrant tea, wine, and dishes were served one after another. There were 8 exquisite small plates, and a small pot of exquisite wine. Chu Yang's appetite was whetted. Without any hesitation, he ate and drank like a whirlwind. Before Miss Xiaolu could even move her chopsticks, the table was already a mess. In the end, Minister Chu held the chopsticks in one hand and the wine jug in the other. He simply threw the chopsticks to the side and directly poured the wine into his mouth. With a whoosh sound, the wine in the jug was completely gone. He then lifted the teapot and began to drink wildly. Putting it down, he wiped his mouth and sighed in satisfaction. So satisfying. I didn't even eat breakfast just to wait for this meal. Miss Xiaolu looked at the 8 empty plates in front of her. They were even cleaner than if they had been carefully washed. She was stupefied and flabbergasted. At this time, the chopsticks in her hand had not moved at all. In other words, she did not eat a single mouthful. There was no wine, no dishes, and no tea. This speed, I say. Minister Chu, could it be that His Majesty does not allow you to eat? Miss Xiaolu was flabbergasted as she shouted. Hey, how can this official's food be better than my little sister's? Chu Yang sighed and said, It seems that I will have to come more often in the future. In any case, I am now a distinguished guest. Don't, please don't. If you come more often, our house of exceptional beauties will be closed because of you. Miss Xiaolu raised her hand and made a gesture of surrender. The two laughed at the same time. They both felt as if they had known each other for decades. The mouth of those who eat others is soft, and the hand of those who receive others is short. Hey, since I have already eaten and drunk, it would be unreasonable to just leave like that. Chu Yang pretended to sigh and said, The third question, As for the third question, Alu, why don't you play the song Happy Reunion for me now? Chu Yang grinned. Why can't I play? Miss Xiaolu happily jumped up. With a face full of smiles, she sat in front of the zither table and said with a charming smile, Listen carefully. Her voice was like a little girl showing off in front of her big brother. Okay. The sound of the zither cheerfully sounded. It was happy meeting again. The sound of the zither flowed smoothly and revealed incomparable joy. It was as if a pair of close friends had finally met after a long time and had endless things to talk about. They were so happy that they could not contain themselves. In the process of playing, Miss Xiaolu even closed her eyes with a sweet smile on her face. She was completely relaxed. Her fingers moved nimbly and her body swayed along with the music. The song ended. What a good song, happy meeting again. Chu Yang applauded and praised. How was it? Miss Xiaolu proudly puffed out her chest. Ah, very good. This is the best song I have ever heard. Chu Yang smiled meaningfully. This song is complete. Zither sound, zither skill, hand feel, heart music, soul music. They are all filled to the brim. He chuckled and said, Little girl, now do you know what soul music is? Miss Xiaolu was startled. She closed her eyes and carefully thought about it. She seemed to have understood something and said, So that's how it is. You are a great master of music. You can put your heart into the music. Of course, This is already the peak for an ordinary zither master. But for a zither master like you, it is far from enough. Chu Yang slowly said, Ah Lu, you have to move yourself first. I understand. Miss Xiao Lu happily jumped up and down. She was so excited that her eyes shined and said, Big brother Chu Yang, thank you. Ah, I accept your thanks. Chu Yang laughed. You have to remember that putting your heart into the music is different from putting your soul into it. Putting your soul into it is completely different. Putting everything into it, you are the zither. Yes. Putting everything into it, I am the zither. Miss Xiao Lu's eyes shined. After putting everything into it, the next step. Chu Yang slowly said, word by word, transcending it again, is another realm, transcending it again. Miss Xiao Lu was completely stunned. Zither and martial arts, in this world, no matter which field it is, there is no limit. Chu Yang slowly said, in this world, there will never be a true peak. There will never be a true regret. Miss Xiao Lu carefully pondered over these words and became dazed. After a long time, Miss Xiao Lu finally regained her senses. She gently sat down and regained her composure. She softly said, Big brother Chu Yang, you came to the House of Exceptional Beauties today for a reason, right? Chu Yang nodded and calmly said, Yes, there is indeed a matter. I want to ask you for a favor. You helped me a lot. Miss Xiao Lu calmly said, No matter what you want me to help you with, just say it. No. Chu Yang shook his head, I did not help you. With your perception, you will understand this principle sooner or later. He raised his hand to stop Miss Xiao Lu from speaking and solemnly said, Moreover, even if I helped you, I did not come here to exchange conditions with you. This kind of exchange, even if I helped you, would be an insult to music. It would also be an insult to me. Chu Yang's expression revealed a trace of melancholy and confusion. He slowly said, This is the point of view of the person closest to me, and it is not mine. She is not in this world. Therefore, I want her theory to be able to shake the world and surpass everyone. From this point of view, you are the one who helped me, Chu Yang bitterly said. Miss Xiao Lu was moved. She could feel the helplessness and sadness in Chu Yang's words. This kind of deep emotion could even make her feel the same way. She believed that this was absolutely not a lie. No one could lie like this. Is this friend your? She is, the most important person in my life. Chu Yang bitterly smiled and bitterly said, I hope that this theory can help you and give you inspiration. I hope that you can ascend to the throne of the world's number one. It is also equivalent to fulfilling my wish. As for her name, Chu Yang murmured, it can only be in my heart. Miss Xiao Lu looked at him without blinking. After a long time, she smiled and said, I will definitely be able to do it. Her voice was firm and resolute, as if she was making a promise. Thank you. Chu Yang sincerely said. Haha, now you should say it, right? Miss Xiao Lu gently smiled. What do you need my help with? I will think about it and see if I can help. Next year, you are going to leave a province, right? Yes. Perhaps I will need your help at that time, but I need you to start preparing now. Chu Yang slowly said, at that time, we will meet in a province. I need you to prepare a few identities for me to hide and use. No problem. Miss Xiao Lu said with certainty, even though we are not allowed to participate in the struggle for power in the lower three heavens, it is easy to cover for you. Diwu Qingru would not dare to do anything to us. Once Chu Yang opened his mouth, she knew what he wanted to do. Thank you. Chu Yang said seriously. Naturally, national affairs could not be done casually. The support of House of Exceptional Beauties would determine the success or failure of this trip. No need to thank me, Miss Xiao Lu said calmly and then smiled, I am not making a deal. Ha ha. Chu Yang laughed and could not help but touch her nose. You little girl. Miss Xiao Lu's smile was filled with warmth. She felt as if she really had a brother who cared for her. It was a feeling of happiness and warmth. I really don't know. What is your full name? Chu Yang scratched his head in distress. I am not a good brother. I don't even know my little sister's name. What a failure. Haha, you are always mischievous. Miss Xiao Lu laughed cheerfully. My name is Jun Lulu. Do you remember it? Jun Lulu, ah, good name. We are bamboo. Brother Chu Yang, do you know bamboo? Miss Xiao Lu playfully tilted her head. Chapter 213. Green bamboo is the master of heaven and earth. You are an elegant scholar, so you should cherish your bamboo. When the green bamboo moves, dragons and tigers appear. When the green bamboo is angry, heaven and earth will be turned upside down. Chu Yang was shocked. He took a deep breath and said, so it's, you guys. Jun Shiju's people. Black Devil Dark Bamboo lone guess. Dark Bamboo. Jun Shiju. The mysterious woman who controlled all the dark forces in the lower three heavens. Jun Shiju's people. Although Chu Yang felt that he had overestimated the origin of the House of Exceptional Beauties, he didn't expect it to be dark bamboo. How big was the lower three heavens? Chu Yang didn't know, but he knew that even if it was smaller than the lower three heavens, it wouldn't be that small. Moreover, according to the order of lower three heavens, the upper three heavens should be bigger than the lower three heavens. In the lower three heavens, all the big clans had their own territories. However, there were also countless dark forces. The lower three heavens could be said to be in chaos. It was a complete jianghu. However, there were rules. All the big clans didn't invade each other and had their own alliances. Although the dark forces were unruly, they also had their own circles. And the dark forces of the lower three heavens had the Monarch Bamboo Union as their alliance leader. The Monarch Bamboo League was a homonym of Monarch League. It was dark bamboo. No one in the lower three heavens dared not to show respect to the Bamboo Monarch token. This was an abnormally powerful force. If it was only about the number of experts, the good and the bad were mixed. But if it was about the number of people, it was a C. Chu Yang remembered that in his previous life, 2 superclans of the three heavens had provoked Jun Shiju for some unknown reason. The result was that the Bamboo Monarch had issued a command, and the dark forces within the radius of several thousand miles had rushed over like a tidal wave. These 2 superclans had persevered for merely 7 days, and had vanished like smoke in thin air. Such a terrifying force. Chu Yang finally understood why the House of Exceptional Beauties cared so much about worldly things like gold and silver. Because the big clans might not care about these things, but the dark forces needed them. Hey! Brother Chu Yang also knows my sister's name? Jun Lulu was a bit surprised. She thought that her sister had never appeared in the lower three heavens, so Chu Yang shouldn't know. She didn't expect him to say it. Moreover, the 32 words of the Monarch Bamboo League only appeared last year, but Chu Yang had casually recited it. For a moment, he couldn't help but be surprised. He couldn't help but have doubts about Chu Yang's origin. Super strength, impressive female prestige, how could I not know? Chu Yang sighed softly. Jun Lulu's words made it clear that Jun Shiju had already grasped the power of the Monarch Bamboo Union. Chu Yang didn't expect it to be so early. He originally thought that since she was as famous as Jiyu Duxing and the others, she would naturally be around the same age. But now, it seemed that the boss of the Monarch Bamboo Union was older than he had imagined. Thinking about it again, he felt relieved. As long as the people of the three heavens reached the level of revered martial artist or above, they would generally live a long life. The people from 100 years ago would be equally famous as the people from 100 years later. That would not be strange. At this moment, a maid ran in a panic and said, young miss, it's bad. There's a fight down there. It's Duke Chu's companions and Duke Lian's companions. Why? It's Master Lian and the others who have been picking on us, the maidservant stammered. Ah! Jun Lulu's expression became very strange. With King of Hell Chu's fierce reputation, it was already a blessing for him not to provoke these officials and clans in Ironcloud Citadel. But these people actually took the initiative to provoke King of Hell Chu? This matter is too ridiculous, isn't it? Was this Lian Fan Lei's head filled with shit? Lu, it seems that we won't be able to eat dinner. Chu Yang smiled faintly. You still want to eat? Jun Lulu rolled her eyes and said, just now was enough for you to not be hungry for 3 days. Chu Yang laughed and turned around to leave. It turned out that after Chu Yang went in, Lian Fan Lei and the others began to mock him out of jealousy. Under Jiyu Duxing's suppression, Mo, Luo Kudi, and the others pretended not to hear anything. With their status, Lian Fan Lei was naturally ignored. Even if there were 100 Lian Fan Lei's clans added together, they still wouldn't be enough to make them angry. In Mo's words, "You want me to personally kill you? Wouldn't that be giving you too much face?" Lian Fan Lei and the others were proud of themselves for cursing without using vulgarities. But after a while, the other side didn't respond at all. They couldn't help but feel bored. So they gave up on attacking. In this house of exceptional beauties, no one dared to be presumptuous. Then, they started to drink their tea and talk loudly. However, this group of people started to talk about King of Hell Chu as they talked. Lian Fan Lei shamelessly said, "What King of Hell Chu? Haha, in my opinion, he is just SOSO. What superior intelligence? Who wouldn't be able to do something like that?" During this time, King of Hell Chu seemed to have fallen out of favor. When Lian Fan Lei said this, he was full of confidence. One of the youths cautiously said, "You can't say it like that. King of Hell Chu used his own intelligence to find so many traitors. This ability is admirable." Intelligence? Bullshit. Lian Fan Lei laughed and said, "Let's talk about that Li guy from the Imperial Censorate. Haha, who doesn't know that he is corrupt and cares about people's lives? Is there even a need to investigate this? As long as he wants to do something, he will do it. Besides, there is also that Wang guy from the Ministry of Revenue. He exchanged hundreds of letters with Great Zhao. Who doesn't know about this? He actually gave all the credit to King of Hell Chu. In my opinion, King of Hell Chu is simply an idiot. And there is also someone who is in contact with Great Zhao's spies. Isn't this something that can be confirmed as long as someone is sent to investigate? How can you say that King of Hell Chu's intelligence is higher than the heavens? In my opinion, King of Hell Chu is simply an idiot. Ha 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 ha." Lian Fan Lei's saliva was flying everywhere as he commented. Suddenly, he couldn't help but laugh loudly. Turning around, he saw Mo holding his stomach and laughing with tears flowing down his face. "Ha ha ha. I really didn't expect this." Mo laughed wildly and said, "Everyone says that there are many idiots in the lower three heavens. I didn't believe it. So there really is such an idiot that makes people speechless. I'm really fucked up. Speak more clearly." Jiu Du Xing also couldn't help but laugh, but he still scolded him with an angry face. "I really can't help it. I can't." Mo held his stomach, his face twisted in pain. "It's true, second brother. I've seen many idiots, but this is the first time I've seen such an idiot who is so arrogant. Impudent." Lian Fan Lei's white face finally turned red. He said angrily, "This immortal. Are you talking about me? Fuck." He actually became smart in the blink of an eye. I said it so vaguely, but he actually understood. Mo was dumbfounded. This IQ really makes me speechless. Lian Fan Lei's face was so gloomy that it looked like water was about to drip out. "Sir, even if you want to insult someone, you should at least give a reason. If you don't have a reason, then don't blame me for being impolite." "Reason, haha." Mo laughed loudly. "Sir Lian, you're wantonly criticizing King of Hell Chu here. Do you know how laughable that is? Everything you said was written on the Imperial ranking list. And you're using that as an excuse. Left you calling him a shit, right you calling him an idiot, you're really enjoying it. But what are you using to scold him? You're using the evidence that he investigated and announced to the world to scold him? Who's the idiot here? It's really hard to say. The person has already been caught, his head has already been chopped off, and all the evidence has already been announced to the world. You're smart now? Heh. Mo mercilessly mocked. There are loopholes here and there. You're really smart. Why don't you use that brain of yours that's been crushed but not crushed? Think about it. All this evidence, if it were you, would you be able to do it? You would only be able to fart here after everyone else is done. How about Tai Bu Tian? Tai Bu Tian is known as the #1 genius of Ironcloud Citadel. Before King of Hell Chu arrived, she could not do anything about these spies. You're smarter than Tai Bu Tian? Why are you so awesome? If you're so awesome, why didn't Tai Bu Tian use you? Why is Tai Bu Tian so stupid? Lian Fan Lei's face was completely red. He was extremely angry, but in his anger, he regained his composure. How could he dare to say that he was smarter than Tai Bu Tian in front of everyone? That was the current emperor. Who are you? Lian Fan Lei asked with a dark face. Who am I? You don't deserve to know. Ji Mo let out a long laugh, especially a bastard like you who picked up the wisdom of others and then attacked the original author. You don't deserve to know. Hearing this, if Lian Fan Lei could still control his temper, then he would be a saint. He no longer cared about the rules of the House of Exceptional Beauties and screamed, "Beat him. If he dies, I'll take responsibility." Beat him? Ji Mo crossed his arms and sneered, "You dare to beat people? Are you not afraid of the laws of Ironcloud Nation?" Laws. In this place, the elders are the laws. Lian Fan Lei shouted angrily and urged, "Go. Beat him. Beat him." The guards behind him stepped forward. The other guards were also unwilling to be left behind. One by one, they rolled up their sleeves and were about to rush forward. "Stop." A cold voice said, "Whoever fights in the House of Exceptional Beauties will die." These words were so loud that even the huge charcoal stove in the hall flickered twice. Dust fell from the roof of the pavilion. "When we get out, I will teach you a lesson," Lian Fan Lei said ferociously. "Little one, I will let you know what regret is. If you offend me, what will happen to you?" Ayayaya. I'm so scared. Ji Mo crossed his arms and looked like a pitiful little girl who met a pervert. He even looked at them one by one. I'm so scared, I'm so scared. I'm so scared. Lian Fan Lei was fuming. At this time, Chu Yang came down from upstairs and said casually, "You're already so old, why are you wasting time with trash? Let's go." Feng Xian went out first and did not even look at Lian Fan Lei. Chapter 214. Watching Chu Yang leave, Jun Lulu sighed softly from upstairs and said, "This Lian Fan Lei is really unlucky. To provoke King of Hell Chu at such a critical time, isn't he just looking for death?" Originally, King of Hell Chu had already killed most of his people. During this period of time, when the new emperor ascended the throne, he was quiet for a while to give face to the new emperor. Now that the critical moment has passed, he was looking for someone to show off his power. He was not sure who he was looking for, but he directly sent his head to King of Hell Chu's butcher knife. Yes, if King of Hell Chu wants to go to Great Jiao, then in order to confuse Diwu Qingru, he must first create a huge disturbance in Ironcloud Citadel to make Diwu Qingru think that he is still in Ironcloud. This way, his actions in Great Jiao will be safer. Just the Lian clan alone cannot reach this level. There must be others. Another elegant voice said in a low voice. "Ah, yes." Jun Lulu turned around and returned to her room. She said, "Duke Yu, in your opinion, this King of Hell Chu, what do you think? He can be considered a top character." Duke Yu, who had never shown himself, said in a low voice, "However, this person is very dangerous." "Very dangerous?" Jun Lulu frowned. "On his body, there is a dangerous aura." Duke Yu said casually, "However, his current strength is too low to threaten us." "Is it about going to Great Jiao?" Jun Lulu asked. "Let's prepare 3 people for him." Duke Yu said casually, 3 young musicians, 2 men and 1 woman. One of them is surnamed Chu. The other 2 are not to be named. If needed, then use them. If not, then forget it. This is not a big deal. Good. However, our House of Exceptional Beauties cannot be used by him for nothing. When he comes back, we must make him pay a price. Duke Yu whispered, "I heard that he has a few divine weapons. Lu, why don't you take one and play with it?" Divine weapon. Jun Lulu revealed a startled expression. She suddenly smiled and said, "Brother Yu, do you think?" She was just helping him out, and that she would take away his precious divine weapon? Duke Yu's words were very strange. Cough cough. "I'm going to cultivate." Duke Yu didn't say anything else. Jun Lulu's face revealed a trace of hidden bitterness as she muttered, "It's like this every time. When we reach a certain point, he runs away." As the Minister of Revenue, Lord Lian Chenggui had been extremely busy during this period of time. When he finally finished dealing with official matters, he straightened his back and hurriedly walked out to sit in a sedan chair and rush home. Along the way, his brows were furrowed and his mind was preoccupied. The deficit of the Ministry of Revenue was a huge hole. Although he had done everything flawlessly over the years, the new emperor had just ascended the throne. He had to be alert. If he was caught, his whole family would be finished. Fortunately, until now, the emperor still had a lot of trust in him. In the following period of time, he had to do something on the accounts and make up for some omissions. He also had to give some benefits to his subordinates to ensure that nothing went wrong. It would be best if he could make some political achievements. When he got home, before he could even sit down, his son, Lian Fan Lei, rushed in and almost choked him to death. "Father, I want to use a few shadow guard." "What do you want to do?" Lian Chenggui staggered. How could a shadow guard be moved so casually? They were protecting the country's treasury. "There's a brat who doesn't have eyes. I have to cripple him." Lian Fan Lei gritted his teeth. "Someone provoked you?" Lian Chenggui's lungs were about to explode from anger, but he still held it in and asked in detail. He had to know who it was that offended who, right? It was at the House of Exceptional Beauties. Someone with the surname Chu. Lian Fan Lei was so angry that he jumped up and down and quickly told him what happened. Lian Chenggui was so angry that he almost fainted. He knew that his son was an idiot, but he didn't think that he was an idiot to this extent. Not only did he fight with someone in a brothel, he even had to use shadow guards for this. The old man was in danger every day. He was so scared that he almost couldn't breathe. He was afraid that there would be a loophole and he would become the new emperor's target. He didn't even dare to say a single word. His son actually provoked this and that outside, and even forced him to send out a secret guard to help him fight for a woman's favor. "Pa!" With a loud slap, Lian Chenggui roared in anger, "Bastard, who told you to go to the House of Exceptional Beauties? Can't you be a bit more obedient?" "Ah! Father!" Lian Fan Lei covered his burning face and froze. Even in his dreams, he didn't think that his father would hit him, and hit him so hard. This kind of thing had happened before, but his father had never reacted like this. The sound of horses galloping could be heard, and a loud shout was heard, "Bu Tian Pavilion is on business. Everyone please leave." Listening to the sound of horses, it seemed like they were coming towards him. Lian Chenggui's face paled. He didn't have time to teach his son and rushed out of the door. He was immediately stunned. On the main street in front of the gate, dozens of tall horses with pitch-black bodies were carrying dozens of expressionless black-clothed people. The one at the front was Hall Master Cheng Ang of Bu Tian Pavilion. Lian Chenggui's mind was blank. Arriving in front of the Lian residence, Cheng Ang waved his hand, and the assassins of Bu Tian Pavilion spread out and surrounded the entire Lian residence. Cheng Ang floated down from his horse and walked over. He nodded. "Senior Lian, what a coincidence. We meet again." Lian Chenggui wanted to cry. What coincidence? The person I don't want to see the most in the entire capital is you. Seeing you, Cheng Ang, is definitely not a good thing. Cheng. Senior Cheng. Lian Chenggui's voice was trembling. He bowed and asked, "This is, under the orders of the minister, I am bringing Senior Lian's family to investigate." Cheng Ang said politely, "It is only an investigation. I hope Senior Lian can cooperate." Investigation. Lian Chenggui felt the world was spinning. When Cheng Ang caught the dozens of officials, he also said the same thing. "What crime did I commit?" Lian Chenggui tried one last time. "I want to see the emperor. I want to see the emperor. I am an important official of the court. Bu Tian Pavilion have no right to catch me." The minister said that his original target was not Senior Lian. However, there was one thing that piqued the minister's curiosity. Cheng Ang sighed. "What thing?" "Curious?" Lian Chenggui was puzzled. What could I do that piqued King of Hell Chu's curiosity? Even though I am the Minister of Revenue, I don't think I have that much face. "Ah, it is nothing." Cheng Ang said calmly, "I heard that your father spent 150,000 taels of silver at the House of Exceptional Beauties to buy a song from a beauty. Senior Lian, This is what piqued the minister's curiosity. Not only the minister, but I am also curious. Senior Lian is really rich. TSK, 150,000 taels of silver just to listen to a song. As far as I know, Senior Lian's monthly salary is 80 taels of silver. A year's salary is 1,000 taels of silver, right? Chengeng said, Senior Lian, your father spent 200 years just to listen to a song. This is slander. Lian Chenggui's whole body was cold. His eyes were blurred. He could only deny it. How could there be such a thing? Senior Lian, did your father not tell you? Chengeng blinked mysteriously. The person who was jealous of your father at the House of Exceptional Beauties. He lowered his voice and said mysteriously, his surname is Chu. His surname is Chu. Lian Chenggui murmured. Suddenly, he remembered that his son said that he wanted to send the secret guards to deal with that person, a person with the surname Chu. Holding on to a sliver of hope, Lian Chenggui said shakily, could it be, the minister? Chengeng had a "you are very smart" look on his face and nodded his head. Oh ho ho, oh ho ho. Lian Chenggui didn't know whether he was crying or laughing. Strange sounds came from his mouth. The next moment, Senior Lian Chenggui's eyes closed and his body fell to the ground. He fainted without a doubt. Before he fainted, his only thought was, this is really funny. I can't even hide from this person. My son actually went to fight with him out of jealousy. In front of King of Hell Chu, he spent 150,000 taels of silver just to listen to a song. This is too funny. Lian Fan Lei, who followed behind him, stood there in a daze. He couldn't believe what he had just thought. So that person was King of Hell Chu. No wonder the people he brought were so dissatisfied with him for slandering King of Hell Chu. The next moment, Senior Lian started to cry. He cried and shouted at the same time, I really don't know who he is. The minister orders, take away all the Lian family members. Seal all the accounts of the Ministry of Revenue. Check the accounts carefully. Chengeng's order shook the entire city. Seal all the accounts of the Ministry of Revenue and carefully check the accounts. How many people would be out of luck? The space of Iron Cloud Citadel shook. Last time, it was to investigate spies. But this time, it was to investigate corruption and bribery. A huge amount of wealth came from an unknown source. Believe me, no matter what dynasty, the number of corrupt officials is always greater than the number of spies. As for the huge amount of wealth, think about it yourself. These officials, which one of them didn't have shit on them? The prison of the Ministry of Justice was once again commandeered by Bu Tian Pavilion. A while ago, when the new emperor ascended the throne, everyone was pardoned. All the criminals in the city were released. This was the time when the prison needed to be filled. The next morning, when Tai Bu Tian was in court, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. How come there were so few of the military officials under him? Originally, there were several hundred people in court. Now, it seemed that there were less than half. What happened? Did everyone go on vacation? His Majesty Tai Bu Tian was not worried. Your Majesty, save us. Even if someone gave the order, it would not be so orderly. More than half of the military officials knelt down. They knelt for a long time, tears streaming down their faces. Apart from a few big shots, there were no more than 30 people left standing in the imperial court. However, the remaining people, regardless of whether they were high or low officials, all stood up straight and their faces were filled with pride. Only when the yellow sand is washed away could one see the gold. Although the amount of gold was a bit small, what happened? Where are the others? Tai Bu Tian was also surprised. All the officials looked at each other. No one dared to speak. After a long time, one of the officials kneeling at the front trembled and said, everyone else was taken away by King of Hell Chu. Even us. Your Majesty. This official suddenly burst into tears. There are still people from Bu Tian Pavilion outside the Golden Palace waiting to catch us. Chapter 215. What exactly happened? Tai Bu Tian's face was as heavy as water. All the kneeling officials did not dare to speak. They just kept kowtowing. We are guilty. We deserve to die 10,000 deaths. Who can tell me what happened? What happened? Tai Butian slowly sat up from the dragon throne, her gaze awe-inspiring. Actually, it's not a big deal. Iron Cloud's Prime Minister Huangfu Mingjing stroked his beard. He was one of the few people standing. He said calmly, Your Majesty, it was Minister Chu who sealed the Ministry of Revenue and arrested Lian Chenggui. Moreover, Bu Tian Pavilion is investigating the Ministry of Revenue's accounts. Minister Chu has already given the order of the King of Hell to investigate this matter thoroughly. Whoever is found, he will be arrested. Whoever is caught, he will be killed. The Prime Minister's last few words were cold. It was obvious that he was taking pleasure in other people's misfortune. This made all the kneeling people's faces turn even paler. But, what does the Ministry of Revenue's accounts have to do with them? Tai Bu Tian looked at the dozens of people kneeling in front of him in shock. There were also more than 100 people who disappeared today. Suddenly, he felt dizzy and his body swayed. Among them, there are people from the Ministry of Revenue, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Rights, Ministry of Appointments, and Ministry of War. These years, it seems that everyone is not very well off, so, cough cough. Huangfu Mingjing coughed and said slowly, so many officials have set their sights on the National Treasury. And the National Treasury is under the Ministry of Revenue's jurisdiction. Therefore, everyone's lives suddenly became better. Moreover, after the matter, as long as Minister Lian uses his methods, cough cough, everything will be fine. Huangfu Mingjing seemed helpless, but his words were vicious and merciless. And now, I don't know what happened, but Minister Chu found out about these things. Huangfu Mingjing said cautiously, well, I heard that Minister Chu was furious. Last night, Bu Tian Pavilion raided 35 households. Tai Bu Tian's face was pale. He said, could it be that these people were involved in the National Treasury? Tai Bu Tian's finger trembled as he pointed at the officials kneeling in front of him. The officials did not dare to speak. They all trembled and knelt with their foreheads pressed against the ground. Seeing this, Tai Bu Tian's body swayed again. Suddenly, she closed her eyes with a splitting headache. He didn't blame Chu Yang at all. But he only felt heartache. Incomparable heartache. The Imperial Court. What kind of place was that? The people of the world yearned for it day and night. Some local officials would never be able to stand here in their entire lives, not even for a moment. It could be said that above the Golden Palace were the true pillars of Iron Cloud Nation. This was the foundation of the entire Iron Cloud Nation. If this place was rotten, then Iron Cloud Nation was rotten from the root. These years were the most difficult times for Iron Cloud. They were supposed to be in the same boat through thick and thin, but they didn't expect that each of them would be more aggressive than the other in trying to poach the country's people. He had painstakingly cultivated them, only to cultivate a bunch of vermin. Hello. Very good. Very good. Tai Butian gritted her teeth and nodded her head. Her face was ashen. Suddenly, she let out a sorrowful and indignant laugh. Ha ha ha. Not bad indeed. You are indeed the pillar of my Iron Cloud. What a great talent. Regarding the National Treasury, he had always known that it was a serious matter. He had always wanted to find a reason to investigate it after ascending the throne. No matter how serious it was just a few officials. At most, it would involve a dozen or 20 people. That was already shocking enough. No matter what, he would never have thought that there would be so many people involved. Without these people, there would only be 30 or 40 people left in the Imperial Court. It was as good as empty. But, if he didn't go, should he keep them? Keep these vermin? All of you kneel here. Tai Butian angrily kicked the golden table in front of the dragon throne. She roared, immediately summon Minister Chu to the palace. After less than an hour, the sound of horse hooves could be heard. They had actually arrived in front of the Golden Palace. If it was any other time, there would have been people jumping out to accuse and impeach the emperor. But today, not a single person spoke. Reporting to Your Majesty, Minister Chu requests an audience. Bam! In an eerie silence, the sound of slow and steady footsteps could be heard. It was slow and rhythmic. The next moment, everyone felt their vision darken. A man in black appeared at the entrance of the Golden Palace. The black robe covered him from head to toe. The only part of his face that was exposed was a hideous golden mask. The moment this person appeared at the entrance of the Golden Palace, the temperature of the entire Golden Palace seemed to drop by a few degrees. Especially the officials who had ulterior motives. They felt fear from the bottom of their hearts. It was as if this person's arrival brought with him the aura of hell. Find a seat for Minister Chu. Before Chu Yang could speak, Tai Butian spoke first. Tai Butian did not want the officials to know that the current Bu Tian Pavilion was actually not under her control. And Chu Yang was also not an official of Iron Cloud. This was too shameful for an emperor. Thank you, Your Majesty. Chu Yang naturally understood Tai Butian's hint. Before he sat down, he thanked Tai Butian and sat down steadily. May I know the reason for Your Majesty's summons today? Minister Chu, you must be very busy these 2 days. Tai Butian smiled and said, regarding the matter of the national treasury, I wonder what Minister Chu plans to do. She went straight to the point. According to Your Majesty's previous promise, Bu Tian Pavilion has the right to act first and report later. Chu Yang said casually, therefore, after such a big incident last night, we have already verified that several vermin were killed in Shi City this morning. A total of more than 300 people. When these words were spoken, the officials kneeling on the ground trembled even more. What about the rest? Tai Butian let out a long breath. This requires Your Majesty's judgment. Chu Yang said casually, however, according to our Bu Tian Pavilion's opinion, it is best to kill them all. After all, our brothers have paid a lot for this investigation. It is very tiring. Kill them all. Some people had already fainted. There were also people who were quietly crying. Old Prime Minister Huangfu Mingjing could not help but roll his eyes. Kill them all? That was tens of thousands of people. The old man felt more and more that something was wrong. Before Chu Yang came, Tai Butian was furious. But after Chu Yang came, the atmosphere seemed to have become very strange. Rather than saying that the two of them were asking and answering questions, it was better to say that they were acting out a play. One was the good cop, the other was the bad cop. Killing them all is not a good idea, right? Tai Butian frowned. You must know that if the whole family is killed, there are tens of thousands of people. Your Majesty is overthinking, Chu Yang said calmly. Iron Cloud has been fighting for years. There are already 8 million young people who have died in the flames of war. Iron Cloud can still afford to lose tens of thousands of people. Minister, can you give them a way out? Tai Butian said with a smile. Since Your Majesty is asking for mercy, we can naturally deal with them according to the severity of the case. Chu Yang said, as for the results of the investigation, I will send them to Your Majesty. Your Majesty can dictate. Tai Butian snorted and said, fine. Chu Yang's words were obviously a jab. How could Tai Butian not understand? Dictate. What is dictate? However, Chu Yang's words were also a reminder. As for what reminder, that was unknown. At this point, the play between the two of them was over. Minister Chu, can you talk with me? Tai Butian said with a smile. I don't want to disturb Your Majesty's peace. Chu Yang said lightly. Men, prepare the Golden Tower for us. Tai Butian smiled. This is a big gift from me to Your Majesty. Chu Yang said softly, today's foundation is shaken and there are killings everywhere, but in the future, there will be long-term peace and stability. Your Majesty has ascended the throne. In a moment of carelessness, I forgot to give you a gift. Let's use this as compensation. Minister Chu's words made Tai Butian's eyes almost pop out of their sockets. She was both angry and amused. In the end, she just sighed. The two of them talked for a long time in the palace. No one knew when Minister Chu left, but everyone's hearts were finally at ease. At least, they wouldn't die immediately. They had a little time to breathe. After a few days, Tai Butian issued an imperial edict. Those who embezzled less than 50,000 taels of silver shall hand over their gains and redeem themselves by meritorious service. Those who embezzled more than 100,000 taels of silver shall hand over their gains and be demoted to a commoner. Those who embezzled more than 100,000 taels of silver shall be beheaded in public and their families exiled. As for those who embezzled more than 1,000,000 taels of silver, their entire families shall be executed. This decision seemed lax, but Ironcloud Citadel was also dyed red with blood. Thousands of heads were beheaded just like that. The law could not punish the masses. This principle still applied at this time. If everyone was beheaded, Ironcloud's royal court would probably collapse immediately. Tai Butian could only deal with it slowly. But one thing was for sure. If one day these people did not perform well, then this old debt would immediately be reopened. Chu Yang stirred up this matter to establish Bu Tian Pavilion's prestige and became the villain himself. Moreover, it allowed Tai Butian to win the hearts of the majority. This matter would directly skip the short period of adjustment for Tai Butian's ascension to the throne. It would directly force Tai Butian's royal court to enter a period of maturity. Although this royal court would be half empty, after this matter, at least for a long time, the appearance of Ironcloud Citadel's officials would be renewed. This was Chu Yang's big gift to Tai Butian, to congratulate him on his ascension. As for the cause of this matter, Minister Chu did not say anything. If he said that it was because he was jealous of someone at the House of Exceptional Beauties, the new emperor would probably faint from anger. After this matter, King of Hell Chu's notoriety shook the heavens. King of Hell Chu's brutality made everyone who heard it gasp in amazement. In the hearts of the officials, King of Hell Chu's already terrible reputation increased by 2 pounds and reached a new level. But in the hearts of the people, King of Hell Chu's reputation soared to the heavens. Everyone in Ironcloud Citadel was in danger. No matter what they did, even though there were fewer officials, their efficiency increased a lot. Cheng Yun he finally brought his people back to the capital of Great Zhao after a long and tiring journey of nearly a month. Just one more day and the Meng Hun solution will be over. Chapter 216. After crossing the border of Ironcloud Nation, they spent 20 days in a world of ice and snow. With great difficulty, they finally reached the border of Great Zhao. After such a long time, they hurriedly found the local contact of Golden Horse Riders Department and reported the news to Diwu Qingru as soon as possible. It could be said that each word was filled with blood and tears. Golden Horse Riders Department was shaken. In the Prime Minister's manner, Diwu Qingru and Han Bu Chu looked at Cheng Yun he who had obviously lost a lot of weight. A few days ago, the news had already arrived. Jing Meng Hun had also personally gone to bring Yin Wu Fa back. However, after a few days of buffer time, Diwu Qingru still felt dizzy after hearing Cheng Yun his report. This time, the meeting was much larger. There were 2 more people, Jing Meng Hun and Yin Wu Tian, the other 2 king-level leaders of Golden Horse Riders Department. The 5 of them sat in a semicircle facing Diwu Qingru. Everyone's face was gloomy. The matter is just like this. Cheng Yun he finally finished speaking with difficulty. Right now, Cheng Yun his cheeks were deeply sunken and his cheekbones were protruding. His 2 eyes seemed to have become 2 empty holes. The torment of this journey was truly indescribable. Han Bu Chu and Jiao Sheng looked at each other and felt speechless. This time, Cheng Yun he went to take charge of the overall situation. However, after he went, he was basically useless. If he could be said to be useful, then at the most dangerous moment, he was able to save the last of his strength and escape unscathed. However, the remaining strength was so pitiful. However, this matter could not be blamed on Cheng Yun he. Everything was Kong Shong Shin's own decision. One wrong step after another, it led to a situation that could not be cleaned up. But now, Kong Shong Shin was dead. Thus, even if they found someone to take responsibility, there would be no one left. How could Diwu Qingru not be depressed? 2 king-level leaders, 3 revered level command horse riders, and more than 30 revered level experts were buried in Ironcloud. Diwu Qingru's face was calm as he slowly said, and all of this was because they died in the hands of an enemy. They died in the hands of an enemy that could have been avoided. He. Diwu Qingru laughed softly. The affairs of the world are strange and bizarre to this extent. I can't help but say that this is an eternal story. His face was very calm, but his tone of voice was very oppressive. It made people who heard it feel their hair stand on end. Prime Minister, please calm down. Han Bu-chu probed. This matter cannot be blamed on the king-level masters, nor can it be blamed on Brother Cheng. King of Hell Chu is too cunning. King of Hell Chu is too cunning. Diwu Qingru closed his eyes and said, 3,000 years ago, there was a wise man who was the emperor of Tianyu. His name was Dongfang Qingtian. At that time, Dongfang Qingtian's wisdom was unparalleled and his plans were flawless. He was known as the wisest man in the Chongtian continent. He assisted King Tianyu in conquering the north and south, conquering a huge territory. Han Bu-chu and the others were confused. Why would the Prime Minister suddenly tell a story? But knowing that he must have a deeper meaning, he continued to listen quietly. As a result, the power of Tianyu country expanded rapidly. Everyone in the surrounding countries was in danger. But at that time, the opposing country, Fire Cloud Country, did not make a move. Prime Minister Chen Ping of Fire Cloud suppressed all the people in the country who wanted to fight and was willing to back down, allowing Tianyu country to gain a huge territory. At the peak of Tianyu country, its territory was almost the size of Great Zhao and Iron Cloud combined. But from then on, Tianyu country suffered defeat after defeat. In the end, the surrounding small countries took advantage of this opportunity and completely destroyed this giant monster. Do you know why this happened? Diwu Qingru asked. Could it be that at that time, Dongfang Qingtian was already dead? Han Bu-chu, Jiao Sheng, and the others were puzzled. Not dead. Plus, he was still in control of the battle. Diwu Qingru said. Then, what is going on? Han Bu-chu and the others were confused. A country at its peak, a top strategist, and flawless plans, how could it be destroyed by a small country? During the conquest of the world, Dongfang Qingtian was at the front line in every battle. It could be said that he was the strategist and decided victory from 1,000 miles away. Do you know what a strategist is? Diwu Qingru asked. A strategist is a tent. A military tent. That's right, a tent. The key is here. Diwu Qingru sighed. After the country reached its peak, this top strategist could not personally go to the front line. He had to stay in the court to help the king, and his plans, no matter how useful they were, no matter how flawless they were, when they were sent from the capital to the front line, first, the timing did not match. Second, if the enemy had a slight reaction, the front line would not know what to do next. He could send out accurate orders, but the people below him could not accurately execute his plans. After all, not everyone is like Dongfang Qingtian. Diwu Qingru slowly said. In the end, Dongfang Qingtian could only leave the palace and go to the front line to command the army. But at that time, the situation was already unstable. A defeated army is not the same as the army that conquered the world. The army that conquered the world, even if it was a crippled army, still had a belief in their hearts. That is, after victory, they could conquer the picturesque landscape and obtain wealth. But at that time, the army was not like that. Especially the generals, they already had wealth. All they wanted was to preserve their lives. Under Dongfang Qingtian's unparalleled command, his side slowly stabilized the situation. But at that time, he was surrounded by enemies from all sides. He could not control all of them. He could only control one side, so, in the end, Tianyu's army was defeated. Dongfang Qingtian was defeated by his own country's defeated army. Thus, Tianyu was destroyed. Dongfang Qingtian looked up to the sky and sighed 3 times. In the chaos, he pulled out his sword and committed suicide. What was he sighing about? Han Bu-chu hurriedly asked. At that time, Dongfang Qingtian said, prospering is like picking up dirt with a needle, failing is like pushing sand with water. Even though I could make conquering the world easy, I could not stop the decline brought by power and prosperity. Strategizing in a tent to determine victory from 1,000 miles away, this saying is not false. But, since the ancient times, who could strategize in a palace to determine victory from 1,000 miles away? My defeat was due to power and influence. I lost to prosperity. Diwu Qingru slowly finished speaking. Everyone was quiet and did not say a word. They were deep in thought. Strategizing in a tent to determine victory from 1,000 miles away, As a qualified general, this is what I should do. In the military camp, the general is in the tent. If I lost, then I deserved to die. Diwu Qingru said softly, this is not a legend. My talent is far inferior to Dongfang Qingtian's. Diwu Qingru said quietly, but I have always avoided Dongfang Qingtian's mistakes. Thus, I have always stayed in the Prime Minister's manor and allowed you to develop your own abilities. Even if you lost, as long as it was not a total loss, then with me, Diwu Qingru, here, you still have a chance to make a comeback. Because even if you lost, it was your own loss, not my command. You lost, but with my command, you turned the situation around. Even though I did not say anything, I made you realize your own shortcomings. Step by step, you grew up. Diwu Qingru smiled bitterly, now, most of you can hold your own. You are my biggest trump card to conquer the world. Do you understand? Han Biyu Chu was moved and said, Prime Minister's thoughts make us feel ashamed. Kong Shong-shin lost, but he threw himself there. Diwu Qingru shook his head, this is the biggest failure. It is also the first time since the establishment of the Diwu Group that we have suffered a crushing defeat. The reason is not that King of Hell Chu is too cunning, Diwu Qingru said seriously, it is that we have been too comfortable these past few years, and there has been no challenge. Jing Menghun sighed deeply and did not speak. Yin Wu Tian retorted, but King of Hell Chu's treachery is real. Not true. King-level leader Yin, let me ask you. If Kong Shong-shin had carried out such a mission when Golden Horse Riders Department was just established, would he have acted on his own? Would he have dared? Diwu Qingru asked slowly. He would not have dared. Yin Wu Tian was flabbergasted for a while before finally lowering his head. Yes, he would not have dared. Diwu Qingru said, but now he dares. Not only does he dare, but he also dares to take all his subordinates with him. He already thinks that Golden Horse Riders Department is very powerful. He is very confident in everything he does. So he dared. So he died. Diwu Qingru said seriously. Kong Shong-shin's weight was far less than Dongfang Qingtian's, but he was still defeated by power. Diwu Qingru said seriously, so Kong Shong-shin's death was not unjust. Facing an opponent like King of Hell Chu, the moment he made such a rash decision, he was already a dead man. This defeat is very deserved. Your Golden Horse Riders Department should have suffered this defeat long ago. Diwu Qingru said, facing an enemy like King of Hell Chu, if your Golden Horse Riders Department continues to be arrogant like Kong Shong-shin and Yin Wu Fa, I will not be surprised if one day Golden Horse Riders Department collapses at the hands of King of Hell Chu. Jing Menghun and Yin Wu Tian were sweating profusely. The two of them had wanted to immediately dispatch experts to take revenge. But Diwu Qingru hadn't stopped them. He had only spoken such words. And their thoughts of revenge had already disappeared without a trace. So, they had felt a deep sense of crisis. Diwu Qingru's words were very serious. In recent years, this was the first time Diwu Qingru had spoken so seriously, especially to the king-level leaders like them. For a moment, even a king-level leader like Jing Menghun felt a chill down his spine. Your defeat is just like Dongfang Qingtian's. And I am Dongfang Qingtian. Although I can arrange things for you, if you do not do it well, you will still lose. Chapter 217. Beads of sweat the size of soybeans dripped down from Jing Menghun's forehead. Diwu Qingru did not comment on the gains and losses of this operation. He also did not comment on the things to pay attention to after this operation. However, his words clearly showed the fury in Diwu Qingru's heart. Why was Golden Horse Riders Department established? It was for Diwu Qingru to dominate the world. If Golden Horse Riders Department became a burden to Diwu Qingru, then Diwu Qingru would not mind disbanding Golden Horse Riders Department. Just like how he casually established Golden Horse Riders Department, Jing Menghun would not have any doubt. Golden Horse Riders Department was established for Diwu Qingru's benefit. But you cannot bring me benefits. Then, why do you still exist? What do you want? Just for money? King-level masters are important, but can you compare to thousands of soldiers and horses? Can you help me conquer the world? No. Since you cannot and you cannot bring me any benefits, then what is the point of keeping you? Diwu Qingru was making an analysis. But he was making use of this analysis to put forward his demands for the Golden Horse Riders Department for the first time. And for the first time, Golden Horse Riders Department could cease to exist. Such a strict rule. Dongfang Qingtian's mistake was that he believed in his own strength and wisdom. But I, Diwu Qingru, do not. Diwu Qingru looked at Jing Menghun with warm eyes and said slowly, therefore, I can allow the same mistake to happen once, but I will not allow it to happen a second time. Jing Menghun felt his entire back soaked with cold sweat. He said, rest assured, Prime Minister, there will not be a second time. I believe. Diwu Qingru nodded deeply and said, failure is not scary. Death is not scary. What is scary is that failure has clouded one's mind, and hatred has blinded one's mind. Golden Horse Riders Department's revenge must be avenged. But before it is time, no one is allowed to act rashly. Jing Menghun gritted his teeth and said, yes. Diwu Qingru nodded and asked, King-level Master Yin Wu Fa's injury, how is it? He had always suppressed this topic and never allowed anyone to talk about it. Only after he had suppressed his emotions did he bring it up. This was because Diwu Qingru knew that Golden Horse Riders Department still retained the habits of Jianghu people. Only by grinding away the edges and corners of Jianghu people on a certain level could one truly possess one's own strength. Using the life of a king-level master to pay such a price was unavoidably expensive. However, Diwu Qingru was keenly aware that this was an excellent opportunity. The Golden Horse Riders Department could lose its throne, but it could never lose control. There was no doubt that Diwu Qingru had done a very good job in this regard. Third brother Yin's injury. Jing Menghun's face exposed a look of grief and indignation. My Menghun liquid can guarantee a person's vitality for a month regardless of how serious their injuries are. But third brother's legs. He suddenly raised his head and asked, Lord Cheng, I would like to ask, other than a few youngsters from aristocratic families, what other people did I encounter along the way? Cheng Yun he was startled and asked, King-level leader Jing, what do you mean? As long as it was before taking the Menghun liquid, even if both of his legs were broken, I would still be able to restore them to their original state. However, third brother's legs are now completely paralyzed from the waist down. Jing Menghun's eyes were like blood as he stared at Cheng Yun he. This kind of injury clearly occurred after he took the Menghun liquid. Cheng Yun he raised his head and closed his eyes. After a long time, he let out a long sigh. He slightly gritted his teeth and said, regarding this matter, I don't know what is vitality and what is cultivation. I am only responsible for it and can only do so much. I have already done my best to bring him back. He raised his head and pointed a finger at his white neck. He coldly said, I can only guarantee that this corpse-like person has not been touched by anyone along the way. If king-level leader Jing does not believe me or has any doubts, my head is right here. Cheng Yi he raised his head and proudly opened his eyes. He squinted and said, anyone from the Golden Horse Riders Department can come and take it. Cheng Yun his grievance and indignation had reached the extreme. I was only responsible for assisting the Golden Horse Riders Department. And I was following the Prime Minister's orders. Now, you did not listen to my orders and did not cooperate with me, causing the mission to fail on the verge of success. I spared no effort and endured all kinds of difficulties and dangers to save your brother. Not only are you not grateful to me, but you even suspect that I secretly killed him. Official Cheng's words are too harsh. Yin Wu Tian gloomily said. His eyes were like a poisonous snake's. Obviously, he still did not fully believe Cheng Yun his word. Harsh or not, justice is in everyone's heart. Cheng Yun he finally could not bear it anymore. He suddenly stood up and said loudly, if I did not want Yin Wu Fa to live, I could have silently killed him 10,000 times along the way. Now, I have a half-paralyzed cripple. What good is it for me? Cheng Yun he was indescribably indignant. Enough. Diwu Qingru gently raised his hand and slowly turned to look at Yin Wu Tian, fourth king-level leader Yin. Could it be that you think it would be better for your brother to die outside? Yin Wu Tian quivered and shivered. He then said, forgive me, Prime Minister. I only have some doubts? Then you should be suspicious of our enemy, not of the people who painstakingly brought your brother back. Diwu Qingru said sternly, Yin Wu Tian, you must be careful when you speak and do things. If you ruin anything because of your hatred, then, you know the consequences. Kong Shong Xin had died, and Yin Wu Fa was crippled. The person who could not bear it the most was Yin Wu Tian. Diwu Qingru did not want to be so strict, but now he could only put aside the word favor. If he allowed Yin Wu Tian's hatred to spread, he did not know what would happen. Therefore, although Diwu Qingru did not want to, he could only suppress it. Yin Wu Tian took a deep breath and said sullenly, what Prime Minister said is right. Jiao Sheng, do you know which clan king of Helchu used? Diwu Qingru asked. Jiao Sheng had already inquired about this question 7 or 8 days ago. Now that Diwu Qingru asked, it had a different meaning. 10 days ago, there was news in Third Heaven that the members of Heimo clan had returned to Third Heaven. Jiao Sheng said cautiously, but there was a joke. Heimo clan sent out 3 king-level leaders. When they returned, all 3 were seriously injured. Heimo. Yin Wu Tian's eyes lit up. Yes, Heimo. Jiao Sheng said, according to legend, Heimo clan was attacked by Mo clan in Ironcloud Citadel. However, it was confirmed that no experts of Mo clan appeared in Ironcloud Citadel at that time. Jing Meng Hun and Yin Wu Tian were breathing heavily. Their eyes were as round as bells. Later, king-level leader Soul Catcher was forced to tell the truth. Jiao Sheng said slowly, it turned out that they had a fight with Golden Horse Riders Department. This matter has caused a huge uproar in Third Heaven. Jing Meng Hun and Yin Wu Tian gritted their teeth. Heimo clan. Heimo clan. King of Hell Chu had a part to play in this matter. However, no matter what, the nature of this matter has changed. Jiao Sheng said, the testimony of the 2 king-level leaders of Heimo clan was that King of Hell Chu had clearly stated that the opponent was Golden Horse Riders Department. However, Heimo clan owed King of Hell Chu a favor, so they had no choice but to help. Pay attention. The key point of this sentence is that King of Hell Chu had clearly stated this beforehand. Jiao Sheng said seriously, therefore, Heimo clan cannot blame King of Hell Chu. Everyone understood this principle. For example, if I told you that the opponent was Japan's imperialists, but after hearing this, you carried a bag of explosives and blew up Japan's imperial god, then it had nothing to do with me, right? Although I also wanted to, so, Heimo clan took responsibility for everything. Yin Wu Tian's eyes were like a volcano that was about to erupt. Upper 3 heavens cannot participate in the clan disputes of Upper 3 heavens, and Lower 3 heavens cannot participate in the dynasty disputes of Lower 3 heaven. This is the law of the heavens. Jiao Sheng rolled his eyes and said indifferently, the king-level leaders of Heimo clan who violated the rules have already been taken in for questioning. No matter how this matter is handled, it is tantamount to an end. Therefore, it is extremely unwise for anyone to use this matter to make a fuss. There are arbitrators in the heavens. Perhaps King of Hell Chu had only used a loophole, but this matter has already passed. Heimo clan has already admitted it, so King of Hell Chu's matter is no more. But if King of Hell Chu uses the arbitrators to make a fuss, then the fate of Golden Horse Riders Department can be imagined. Jiao Sheng's slender eyes exposed a sharp ray of light, therefore, I think it would be better to suppress this matter and not let it go. Jing Meng Hun let out a deep breath, and the chair he was sitting on shattered with a catcher sound. Yin Wu Tian clenched his fists, and his eyes were bloodshot. However, there was a trace of dejection in their expressions. Even an emperor-level master would not dare to challenge the rules of the heavens, let alone a king-level master. Yunhe, tell me about those youngsters from aristocratic clans. Diwu Qingru waved his hand and suppressed his hatred. Now was the time to talk about business. Diwu Qingru's grasp of people's hearts and human nature had become more and more cautious after the last mistake. He was watertight. Those youngsters were arguing. I only heard that one of them was called Luo Kudi, one was called Ji Mo, and the last one was surnamed Ji Yu. As for the other 2, I do not know their names. Cheng Yun, he said cautiously, I also do not know whether they are from the clans of Upper 3 heavens or Upper 3 heavens. Luo Kudi is the second young master of the Luo clan of Upper Three Heavens. Ji Mo is the second young master of the Ji clan of Upper Three Heavens. When Jiao Sheng heard these names, his expression clearly tightened. As for Ji Yu, could he be a member of the Ji Yu clan? Diwu Qing Ru's expression was indifferent. His finger gently tapped on the table, and he did not speak for a long time. He only frowned and pondered, letting everyone digest Jiao Sheng's words. Chapter 218. King of Hell Chu. Jiao Sheng's eyes widened. No way. First, is Yun his luck really that good? At such a dangerous time, he went out and met with a group of aristocratic clan disciples. Plus, it was a group of Three Heavens clan disciples. Diwu Qing Ru smiled faintly. This is equivalent to a special trip to inform you that we are going to Great Province. You must be prepared. A cold light flashed in Diwu Qing Ru's eyes. Heart is somewhat unreasonable, right? Perhaps they said it unintentionally, and Mr. Cheng intentionally remembered it. Jiao Sheng pondered. The eyebrows on his handsome face slowly wrinkled. Maybe that is the case. But the second point is that they said they were going to rob, but in the end, they did not rob anything. Could it be that they waited in that snowy weather just to have some fun in the wilderness? Diwu Qing Ru smiled. As for the reason that they were looking for king-level Master Yin, that is even more absurd. How could the aristocratic clan disciples of Three Heavens be so bored? Third, I simply do not believe in such a coincidence. Diwu Qing Ru said casually, just this one is enough. So, among these people, King of Hell Chu must be among them. Diwu Qing Ru snorted and said, and this encounter shows that King of Hell Chu will most likely come to Great Jiao to cause trouble. And if they come to Great Jiao, then they will most likely contact Yun He. Jiao Sheng thought for a long time before slowly nodding. What Prime Minister said is indeed possible. If that's the case, and we can't see through their disguise, then they will come here. Moreover, Yun He will personally cover for them. This means that the Golden Horse Riders Department is protecting them. Great Jiao is undoubtedly the safest place for them. Han Biu Chu thought of this and sucked in a cold breath. But now that Prime Minister has calculated it, we just need to open the net and wait for the fish to come. Jiao Sheng sneered, if King of Hell Chu really comes, then he is walking right into the net. Capturing him will be as easy as blowing off dust. Not necessarily. Diwu Qing Ru pondered and said, King of Hell Chu would not use such a childish trick. There must be a deeper meaning behind this. He stood up and paced back and forth. He then muttered to himself, one is the Luo clan, one is the Ji clan, and one is the Jiyu clan. Three big clans of the Three Heavens, humph humph. King of Hell Chu has spread this rumor. From this, we can infer that he has a close relationship with the young lords of several clans. King of Hell Chu doesn't have the strength right now. If he wants to deal with us, he will need to borrow some strength. Speaking of borrowing strength, these people should help him since their friendship isn't shallow. However, the people of the lower Three Heavens aren't allowed to intervene in the matters of the lower Three Heavens. So, these people can't help him openly. But, if we take the initiative to provoke them, then it's a different story. If King of Hell Chu cooperates with them to add fuel to the fire, and sow dissension once again, then it would be the same as Golden Horse Riders Department just having a fight with the Heimo clan, and then turning around to face the three big clans. Is this King of Hell Chu's plan to borrow our strength again? Diwu Qing Ru gently rubbed his forehead with his hand and muttered, is this another big trap by King of Hell Chu? As he thought about it, his eyes gradually revealed a sharp color, and he said, if we face the three big clans at the same time, our Golden Horse Riders Department will be in real danger. Han Biu Chu, Cheng Yun He, Jiao Sheng, Jing Meng Hun, and Yin Wu Tian quietly listened to Diwu Qing Ru's analysis. He talked about the dangerous situation of the Golden Horse Riders Department being destroyed at every turn. Everyone's backs were drenched in cold sweat. If this was really King of Hell Chu's plan, then it could be said that it was all linked to each other. It was extremely dangerous. If they really thought that they had found a loophole in King of Hell Chu's plan and excitedly surrounded him, then it was almost foreseeable that the three big clans would immediately become enemies. Since we know, then it's not scary anymore. Han Bu-chu pondered and said, "We can start contacting the higher-ups of the three big clans and let them know about this matter. We can't borrow their strength, but they may not be willing to be used by King of Hell Chu." "That's right," Diwu Qingru said, "let Jiao Sheng handle this matter." "How about it? Rest assured, Xiong Mao. There will be no loopholes in this matter," Jiao Sheng said confidently. "Knowing the other party's intentions, if we can't destroy it, then we are really stupid. Jiao Sheng, you have to grasp the timing." Diwu Qingru said casually, "If King of Hell Chu wants to come, let him come first. Before that, keep in touch with these clans and know where they are. Wait until King of Hell Chu arrives, then inform them of this matter." Jiao Sheng's spirit was roused as he said, "Yes. This is the first matter." Diwu Qingru sighed and said with some loneliness, "Iron Cloud Nation's ruler, Tai Shi-cheng, fought with me for many years. He could be said to be a hero of his generation. I've always wanted to keep him alive to make use of him. I didn't expect that he would die in such weather. The plan I've been preparing for so many years has become useless. There's something fishy about this." Diwu Qingru said casually, "Tai Shi-cheng was living well. Why did he die at this time? And Du Shiqing also disappeared at this time. If this matter has nothing to do with King of Hell Chu, I don't believe it. Order all the spies in Iron Cloud Nation to immediately spread rumors that King of Hell Chu killed Tai Shi-cheng. Tai Shi-cheng killed Tai Shi-cheng. Regarding this matter, Bu-chu, you write a story and spread it out. If Tai Bu-tien is suspicious, that would be the best. Even if Tai Bu-tien doesn't believe it, someone will. Yes, Prime Minister. One more thing. Tai Shi-cheng died and Tai Bu-tien ascended the throne. Everyone knows that a nation cannot be without a ruler for a day, but there is still something to be done. Another rumor is that Tai Bu-tien did not hesitate to kill his own father for the throne, and before his father's body was even cold, he hurriedly ascended the throne. His nature is cold, heartless, and unfilial. He deserves to be punished by the whole world. For this matter, Bu-chu, you will be in charge of fabricating it. Yes. Third, when Tai Shi-cheng died, my army attacked. At that time, Tai Long-cheng was at the border and could not leave. We all know that he could not leave, but Tai Long-cheng did not go back to attend the funeral. This is the truth, Diwu Qingru said. Thus, there are rumors. One is that Tai Long-cheng gathered his own troops and did not accept the new emperor. He wanted to rebel. The second is that Tai Long-cheng thought that his brother's death was not clear, so he did not dare to go back. But when Tai Long-cheng went back, he would ask Tai Bu-tien for an explanation. Iron Cloud's internal strife is imminent. Bu-chu, these matters are for you to handle. Yes. Also, even though Du Shiqing is missing, we can make a story out of it. Say that Tai Bu-tien killed Du Shiqing in order to seize the throne and to let his father return to heaven. This rumor must be clever and naturally spread to those who have dealings with Du Shiqing, such as aristocratic families or sects. Du Shiqing's son can help with this. Yes. Han Bu-chu's expression became more and more admiring. Diwu Qingru's plans, even though they were only rumors, were extremely vicious. As long as they were properly controlled, the effect would be great. The most terrifying thing in the world was the mouths of the common people. As long as the common people believed it to be true, then, through word of mouth, even a false rumor would become true. For the sake of stabilizing the throne, Tai Bu-tien let King of Hell Chu massacre meritorious officials and old officials who were loyal to Tai Shi-cheng. Even Iron Cloud Saint, Tang Xin-sheng, became a spy. This is the biggest joke in the world. Do you understand? Understood. Hurry up and do it. Diwu Qingru smiled warmly and murmured, even though King of Hell Chu ruined one of my great plans, but how can I let you do as you please? Jiao Sheng said, Prime Minister, if this is the case, at the border, should we allow the soldiers to relax a bit? After all, the weather is very cold right now. Many soldiers are suffering from frostbite. Some even froze to death. Diwu Qingru's eyebrows twitched. He pondered for a moment and said, use all of your financial resources to send cotton clothes to the border. However, The military oppression must continue. We are suffering, but Iron Cloud is suffering even more than we are. Moreover, with such rumors spreading everywhere, we cannot let Tai Long Cheng go back. Yes. Golden Horse Riders Department should be properly reorganized during this time. King-level Master Yin should rest well. Diwu Qing-ru said warmly, in this cold weather, Golden Horse Riders Department should not move out for the time being. Take care of King-level Master Kong's funeral. When the time comes, I will personally go and send King-level Master Kong off. Yes. Jing Menghun and Yin Wu Tian agreed at the same time. When Kong Shongshin was mentioned, their noses turned sour. They choked and said, "Thank you, Prime Minister. As for the sects, let King of Hell Chu suffer. Carry out part of Beyond the Heavens sect's plan in this cold weather. Let the big sects attack Beyond the Heavens sect. We cannot destroy it, but we must kill some of its people. Try to kill as many as possible." Diwu Qing-ru said casually, "I heard that King of Hell Chu's master is called Meng Chao Ran. If his master dies, I wonder if King of Hell Chu will be sad. Even if King Chu Ran is inhumane, I am afraid he will shed a few tears." Jiao Sheng said with a smile. In the depths of his eyes, there was a hidden chill. Yes, Diwu Qing-ru's series of methods were a combination of sinister and vicious. If it was me who was against Diwu Qing-ru, I can imagine how badly I would be in trouble right now. Now, all of this is being done by King of Hell Chu and Tai Bu Tian. These two people must not be feeling too good. Chapter 219. Diwu Qing-ru reached out his hand and took it. He said regretfully, "With these two things, we can save the lives of two experts at a critical moment. Yun Kuan He, you don't have to worry about it." Then, he shook the jade box and said, "This jade spirit ginseng is." Suddenly, he made a sound of surprise, and his eyes froze. He looked at Cheng Yun Quanhe and frowned. "Yun Quanhe, this, no one has touched it, right?" Cheng Yun Kuan He immediately panicked and said with a pale face, "Prime Minister, is there a problem? Jade spirit ginseng is a spiritual object. Even through the jade box, one can feel its spiritual energy. Why did I not feel it this time?" Diwu Qing-ru asked in confusion. As he said this, Jing Menghun and the others also felt that something was wrong. Absolutely no one touched it. "This thing has always been with me," Cheng Yun Kuan He said without hesitation. Diwu Qing-ru weighed the jade box in his hand. He slightly lowered his head. After thinking for a while, he looked up and smiled. "It's okay. Since the thing is back, it's good. Yun Kuan He, you must be tired. Go and rest early." As he said this, he put the jade box into his bosom without even looking at it. Then, he said with a smile, "I'll keep this thing close to me." Then he smiled and said, "Everyone can go back. Bu Chu, you have to be busy for the next few days. Jiao Sheng, you have to keep a low profile during this period of time. Don't be targeted by the arbitrators. The two king-level leaders should also rest early. If you need any medicine for king-level leader Yin's injury, feel free to come and get it from me." Everyone bowed in unison and left the room. When only Diwu Qing-ru was left in the study room, he slowly stood up. He frowned and slowly paced back and forth. He muttered, "This matter should not have happened." He took out the jade box from his pocket. He gently opened it. Sure enough, there was no jade spirit ginseng inside. It was completely empty. Diwu Qing-ru looked at the empty jade box and thought for a long time. His eyes flashed. Iron Cloud Citadel, Heaven-mending Pavilion, in this cold place, was once again bustling with activity. But this time, the people of Bu Tian Pavilion did not complain. Instead, they were happy and proud. King of Hell Chu. After all, he was King of Hell Chu. He did not fall. King of Hell Chu didn't fall. Then Heaven-mending Pavilion would still be Heaven-mending Pavilion. Those people who had spread rumors about King of Hell Chu not being able to make it a humph, are now being dealt with by us. King of Hell Chu is not only capable, but very capable, emptying half of the imperial court. Such boldness, such a bold move. Who would dare? However, King of Hell Chu didn't even frown, and directly attacked. Compared to the bustling heaven-mending pavilion, the heavenly armament pavilion was noisy. After they returned, they had different opinions about Lian Fan Lei. Jimo believed that such a person should be ruthlessly beaten up. Beat him up so badly that even his mother couldn't recognize him. Luo Kedi thought that he should go straight to the Hua family. Jiu Du Xing snorted at their thoughts. Big Boss Chu thought that using power to suppress people was the best way for these people. The matter had already passed for a long time, but the people from the Heavenly Armament Pavilion were still quarreling endlessly. In the end, no one knew what happened. Jimo and Luo Kedi quarreled. Originally, their opinions were similar, but Luo Kedi betrayed them and stood on Chu Yang's side. He turned his head and wantonly attacked his former allies. He said that Jimo was short-sighted, immature, and had a bad temper. He didn't have any self-restraint and wasn't calm at all. Jimo was furious. He immediately assumed the posture of the third elder brother. Pao Zun was also furious. The two of them started to quarrel, and started to wrestle with each other. Bang! 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 Sounds were unceasingly heard. Chu Yang didn't have time to mediate the fight. Chu Yang smiled bitterly. Minister Chu murmured, "This young man's anger is too big. He needs to vent." He turned around and walked out. Jiu Yuxing followed. I left Shu Biu Tong to guard the two and continuously sneak attack them. And his sneak attack made the two fight even more fiercely. What's the next step? Jiu Duxing asked. There is a plan, but I am thinking about how to proceed. Chu Yang pondered, it should be to go to Great Jiao. But the time is not ripe yet. Use the foreshadowing you left that day in the snow? Jiu Duxing's eyes lit up. What time is not ripe yet? Chu Yang shook his head and sighed. The time was not the time. Chu Yang had been looking forward to the return of the second fragment of Calamity Sword. Until now, there had been no news. He was now at the peak of 7th grade Martial Master and was about to become a Martial Great Master. Duxing, let's exchange pointers. Chu Yang said. Jiu Duxing's eyes lit up and said, okay. During this time, he had been cultivating with all his might according to the revered Berserker sword technique. Now, he was already a sword great master. Just one more step. He could enter the revered sword master realm. Jiu Duxing was also looking forward to the day of his breakthrough. He still clearly remembered Chu Yang's words, the revered Berserker sword technique can only help you enter the revered sword master realm as soon as possible. But after that, the revered Berserker sword technique cannot be used anymore. If you use it again, it will cause your mind to be confused by the sword technique and enter madness. But, at that time, we have other ways to let you advance quickly. Other ways to advance quickly. Right now, Jiu Duxing was more eager than anyone. In daily cultivation, he was also the most hardworking among them. Sometimes, the degree of his effort was so high that even Chu Yang was behind him. Because Jiu Miao Ling, Sister Xiao Miao, was still suffering and waiting for me to save her, Jiu Duxing's heart felt like it was being fried. Please, please. Both of them held an ordinary steel sword in their hands. Previously, when they exchanged pointers, they used their fists and legs. But this time, Chu Yang proposed to use a sword. Although Jiu Duxing was surprised, he did not think much of it. While muttering, Jimo, Luo Ku, Di Shu and Biu Tong walked out with bruises all over their faces. When they saw Jiu Duxing and Chu Yang about to exchange pointers, they immediately became interested. In an instant, the three of them who were fighting like pigs, each took a small stool and squeezed together. They put their arms around each other's shoulders and looked forward to the fight. I'm coming. Chu Yang drew his sword and took the lead. His two legs crossed and suddenly rushed forward like a whirlwind. With just one move, Chu Yang's body had already become a faint shadow. Fleeting snow cloud steps. Damn! Boss has improved so fast. Jimo exclaimed. The current Chu Yang. Compared to the day before when he exchanged pointers with him. How could he just improve by a level? Jiu Duxing's face was cold and hard. He held his sword horizontally. His two legs did not move, but they automatically slid forward. With a clang, the two swords crossed. Be careful. Chu Yang's eyes revealed a trace of a smile. Jiyu Duxing's martial power was much higher than his. The one who should be saying be careful should be Jiyu Duxing, but Chu Yang actually said it first. I know. Jiyu Duxing had just said these two words when he suddenly felt that something was wrong. His sword seemed to have suddenly sunk into water. Along with his whole body, he also felt an abundant buoyancy. There was also a kind of blockage unique to water. He could not use any strength. It seemed that if he used any more strength, his wrist would be broken. Jiyu Duxing was shocked. He immediately retreated. He was puzzled. Although he controlled his martial power and tried to suppress it to a level similar to Chu Yang's. But he should not feel this way. As he retreated, the feeling became even more obvious. It was as if a raging tide had suddenly appeared in front of him, bringing with it a violent impact, an irresistible thrust, and a strong buoyancy and stickiness. It was coming at him from every direction. And Chu Yang's sword only made a slash in the air. Jiyu Duxing's face flushed red. He shouted and increased his martial power by 20% to block this wave of attack. Chu Yang's long sword drew a circle and retracted. The dense sword energy suddenly turned into a tranquil lake between the two of them. The soft power of water. Jiyu Duxing looked at Chu Yang's sword thoughtfully. Yes, it is the soft power of water. But it has not reached great success. Chu Yang said indifferently. Jiyu Duxing smiled bitterly. He had just used the power of a third-grade sword great master. He was still forced to be unable to attack by a seventh-grade martial master. It was like this and it still had not reached great success. Jiyu Duxing gently closed his eyes. He immediately felt that in front of him, there was a calm but repelling force like a lake. And Chu Yang was clearly on the other side. It really has not reached great success. Your soft power of water is too rigid. Jiyu Duxing roared and slashed with his sword. This is the Jiyu clan's wave-splitting slash. It is a sword technique that has been practiced in water. It has reached great success. With one slash, it can split the oncoming wave in half, and his clothes are not wet at all. Luo Ku Di's eyebrows jumped. Using the wave-splitting slash to deal with boss soft power of water is just like one thing conquering another. Not necessarily. Jimo snorted. Watch, don't talk nonsense. You are as knowledgeable as a clown. Luo Ku Di was furious. He was about to go up and punch. Suddenly, he exclaimed, how can this be? He saw Chu Yang retreat continuously, but his sword continued to stab. Every stab brought about a different wave of energy, attacking Jiyu Duxing. After 17 consecutive stabs, Chu Yang suddenly stopped retreating and went up to meet it. The sword in his hand seemed to have turned into a soft willow branch at this moment. It danced and went up to meet it. Jiyu Duxing's sword momentum, which could unleash monstrous waves, was actually useless in the face of this extremely gentle attack. He was easily enveloped by the gentle power. Jiyu Duxing was shocked. Chu Yang's soft power of water, under his wave-splitting slash, actually achieved a new breakthrough. He had truly mastered the characteristics of water. During this period of time, Chu Yang had been tortured thousands of times. Finally, today, he achieved the most perfect result. A satisfied smile appeared on Chu Yang's face. He was about to raise his sword to attack when he suddenly had a thought. The sword spirit's voice suddenly sounded, with a hint of exclamation. You have finally understood the power of water. The power of nature is beginning to show signs. From today onwards, you can use the space of calamity. Space of calamity? Chu Yang was shocked. Yes. The sword spirit sighed and said, you are the first to open the space of calamity in half a year. Chu Yang only felt a shock in his heart. In his dantian, an inexplicable and mysterious feeling suddenly rose. When he closed his eyes, he saw a mysterious space. It opened up to him. At this moment, the sword tip of the calamity sword in his dantian suddenly shook violently. Under his feet, there was also an urgent calling. Chapter 220. Jiyu Duxing's sword actually felt Chu Yang's force field relax in this sticky feeling. He followed the flow of energy and attacked. The tip of the sword stopped in front of Chu Yang. Chu Yang's hair fluttered violently for a while. Jiyu Duxing was a little depressed. Who would suddenly meditate in the middle of an intense battle? If it wasn't for my control, wouldn't this sword be in trouble? But Chu Yang suddenly meditating was a fact. Jiyu Duxing had no choice but to change his role at once from a fighter to a protector. On a distant treetop, a man in green was so angry that his veins were almost popping out. Bastard! How could he suddenly meditate in the middle of a battle with the sword master? He's taking his life as a joke. The man in green was almost about to go down and kick this unruly guy's butt. How generous! Even though he was already far beyond their level, in that situation just now, if Jiyu Duxing didn't stop in time, he definitely wouldn't have been able to save her. Thinking of this, the man in green was sweating all over. Before your identity is clear, you can't die. Chu Yang only felt that his mind was spinning. Suddenly, his entire spiritual power was sucked away. He suddenly felt a strange feeling of heaviness in his head. He closed his eyes, and found that he seemed to be standing in a strange space. In this short period of time, the mental energy he had used up had already overdrawn him. Since his rebirth, he had never felt so weak. Chu Yang forced himself to shake his head. He opened his eyes and returned to reality. He said weakly, "I need to rest. Duxing, help me in." Jiyu Duxing was shocked. From the beginning of the battle to Chu Yang suddenly meditating, it was only a short period of time. But at this moment, even Jiyu Duxing could feel Chu Yang's weakness. It was as if all of his energy had been sucked out of him all of a sudden. Jiyu Duxing couldn't help but guess. What was Chu Yang's realization at this moment? To be able to use up so much mental energy in such a short period of time? Hearing Chu Yang's words, Jiyu Duxing did not dare to be negligent. He immediately carried Chu Yang on his back and rushed into Chu Yang's room at top speed. He placed Chu Yang on the bed, then immediately poured a cup of water and brought it over. After thinking for a while, he took out a few healing pills from the clan and crushed them, melting them in the water. Chu Yang gulped down the water in 2 mouthfuls. He felt refreshed. He said in a hoarse voice, "I'm going to meditate for a while. Don't let anyone come in." After he said the last word, he immediately sank into deep meditation. Jiyu Duxing had wanted to persuade him, but seeing the situation, he had no choice but to leave quietly. "How is boss?" Ji Mo and the others immediately surrounded him, their faces full of concern. Big brother may have a great realization. Jiyu Duxing's eyes showed that he was deep in thought as he said, "No one is allowed to go in and disturb him." As he spoke, he frowned and muttered to himself, what kind of comprehension could be so powerful? Could it be the way of martial arts? Ji Mo and the others looked at each other in amazement. The way of martial arts? Could it be the highest level of martial arts, second only to the way of heaven? Could it be that Chu Yang had comprehended this level because of the battle with Jiyu Duxing? The eyes of the three lit up like searchlights at the same time. Ji Mo was the first to jump up excitedly. "Second brother, I want to fight with you." "Fifth brother, the two of you help protect big brother." Luo Kudi and Miao Biu Tong rolled their eyes. "What second brother?" Jiyu Duxing was completely displeased. "You should call him second brother. You are second brother," Ji Mo said proudly, as if he had taken advantage of the situation. The pleasure of taking advantage of the sharpness of the tongue. Jiyu Duxing was furious and said coldly, "If you call me that again, I'll beat you until you become second brother, the soft kind." Ji Mo couldn't ask for more. He laughed and teased, "Awu, dog aunt, second brother, if you have the guts, come." Jiyu Duxing roared angrily and rushed to the ground. The two of them rolled and rolled into a ball. Thus, this young master Ji Mo, who also wanted to comprehend something, started to scream miserably. Chu Yang regulated his breathing for a while before he felt that his spiritual energy had recovered a little. Thinking about that feeling just now, he actually had some lingering fear. That feeling was as if his entire body was weightless and rolling in the boundless universe. It was a terrifying feeling that he couldn't control himself at all. After calming himself down, he calmed his mind and immersed himself in that wonderful state again. As expected, when he opened his mind, a weightless feeling immediately attacked him. But this time, Chu Yang was prepared. When this feeling came, he closed his eyes and relaxed his consciousness. The next moment, he felt as if his feet were on solid ground. Then, he opened his eyes. What appeared in front of him was a huge space. Or rather, it should be said that it was an empty hall. Those things that he had asked the sword spirit to collect were all piled up in a corner of the hall. This hall was more than 100 feet tall and had a radius of nearly 100 feet. It was surrounded by a hazy pink fog, and the top was also covered by pink fog. It was so hazy that one couldn't see far. In front of him, there was something that looked like a large stone tablet. It was emitting purple light, and there seemed to be words engraved on it. When he stepped forward to take a look, Chu Yang could not help but be completely petrified. His mouth opened wide as he muttered to himself. Amethyst, the large stone monolith in front of him, was the purple crystal. The priceless treasure of the Chongtian continent. Moreover, looking at its luster, it was not inferior to his own purple crystal jade pendant. An ordinary purple crystal the size of a fist was enough to allow a martial honor to advance by one rank. And the piece in front of him looked like it weighed more than 10,000 pounds. And the characteristic of the purple crystal was that after absorbing the energy inside, it would turn into a pure purple crystal jade. And these amethyst jades were the symbol of nobility. Chu only knew that it was impossible for such purple crystals to appear in the lower three heavens and the upper three heavens. Even in the upper three heavens, it was a treasure that all the major forces would fight over. If the piece in front of him was taken out, it would not be strange at all that it would cause a world war in the upper three heavens. Shaking his head, he bit his tongue hard. A piercing pain attacked him, and Chu Yang realized that he was not dreaming. He opened his eyes wide and stepped forward to take a look. On the huge purple crystal, there were a few lines of words that were like dragons flying and phoenixes dancing. They were about to break through the surface of the monolith and fly out. Chu Yang looked, and his eyes seemed to be attracted by these few lines of word. Tribulation Chongtian, it's lonely at the top. The palm turns the cycle of reincarnation, the palm holds the world. A glance of wind and thunder, a rage of the cold sea. One hand breaks the firmament, one sword dances the sky. Good spirit, Chu Yang murmured. After the initial discomfort, he had gradually adapted to this place. He faintly understood that this should be the space of the tribulation sword in his mind, and what he was here now was not his physical body. It should also be a divine fate. At this moment, the dense fog stirred, and a blurry figure appeared. It slowly became clear, and formed into a tall and slender figure. It walked out of the thick fog at the edge. After more than 10,000 years, I'm finally here again. This person looked at the surrounding scenery and said with a sigh. His voice was filled with sorrow. You are the sword spirit. When this figure opened his mouth, Chu Yang recognized him from his unique accent. I am the sword spirit. This figure was at a loss, and he actually asked a question in return. He stretched out a hand and touched the purple crystal monolith. His face was full of disappointment, and he said, Sword spirit, such a noble name, how can I bear it? You are not the sword spirit. When two become one, it is the sword spirit. This illusory figure's eyes suddenly emitted a divine light of desire. I am alone, only the sword spirit. Only when a sword has a soul, it has a spirit. Only when a sword has a spirit, it has a spirit. Oh! Chu Yang nodded as if he understood. He vaguely remembered that this conversation seemed to have been answered before. But in this space, he couldn't help but ask again. How do I use this space? Chu Yang asked. It is in your mind. You can use it however you want, the figure said lightly. The tribulation space can accommodate all things. You can do whatever you want. But, before you get the seventh fragment of the tribulation sword, the tribulation space cannot accommodate living things. I see. Chu Yang nodded silently. Now, you can go and get the second fragment of the tribulation sword. The figure stood quietly and sighed. There is someone outside watching you. His martial power is not bad. It is the little guy who gave you the purple crystal that day. He didn't have any evil intentions. I won't help you. I haven't been here for more than 10,000 years. I want to stay here quietly for a while. Chu Yang's heart shook, and he said, okay. With a thought, he had already retreated from that strange space. Suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in his mouth, and there was a sticky smell of blood. He touched it with his hand, and his hand was full of blood. After a while, he understood. When he bit his tongue, he only felt pain inside. It turned out that he had bitten his tongue open. The sword spirit's words caused a great disturbance in Chu Yang's heart. The person who gave you the purple crystal. He didn't have any evil intentions towards you. If he doesn't have any ill intentions, then that's it. Is he really related to my background? This thought arose in Chu Yang's heart. His heart suddenly felt very frightened. He had been abandoned for more than 10 years. If he counted his previous life, he had been abandoned for more than 10 years. The mystery of his background had always been a knot in Chu Yang's heart. But now that there was a glimmer of hope, even Chu Yang's tenacious heart became worried. For a moment, he didn't know what he was thinking. It was a subtle feeling similar to homesickness. He longed to know the truth. He longed to die. But he was also afraid of knowing the truth. He was also scared to death. Before he knew the truth, there was still hope in his heart. But if the truth was indeed the cruelest kind, then there would be no room for him to turn around. Chu Yang was stunned for a long time. Then, he sighed softly and pressed a button in the room. A secret passage appeared. Chu Yang stepped in, and the entrance of the secret passage slowly closed. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.